Oh
Yes.
shit.
I but yeah, dude, I prepped you for life in the in the struggle. Okay, Cameron, before we get into anything, can you on your end see if
Wait, the Craftsmen are streaming? Holy shit.
yeah, can you see if it sounds all right?
It does.
Okay, cool. And it hasn't like blown up on me and I'm not lagging out like I did last time.
Oh, and this shit's like uploading hella quick too.
What do you mean? Oh, it's like pretty consistently live.
Yeah, that's very yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think because it was the laptop, the internet card that it has in there doesn't update as quick as the PC one does. So, after all, this is meant for gaming. There was an article I wanted to read,
Which one?
which was Gaza's health ministry says Israeli strikes have killed hundreds of Palestinians.
Sure.
I do want to read that, but before I do that,
Just want to say good morning, chat.
uh, there we go.
What do you mean by grayscale?
Okay, so 44% center, 34 left.
You read 1 out of 5 daily articles already?
I did? Oh, because I clicked. No, this is the one.
Oh, this is the one. I see. Okay.
I think it better be.
That can't be right. That can't be it.
Well, maybe when I clicked it on the stream last time,
Mm,
it counted, even though I had to shut it off immediately.
well, rest in peace to our 5.
It's all right. We could use like NPR or something, or like PBS or something for like free ones. Between you and me, I know a secret way to gain access to certain.
That's poggers.
But I don't know if it still works. I have to go on GitHub and check. Anyways, so let's take a look here. 326 Palestinians, women and children. Okay. Death toll is more than 300 after just the airstrikes.
Okay, but ooh. When?
When did this happen? Well, for the record, it says published a day ago, updated an hour ago.
Okay, so
But that doesn't necessarily mean, right, that although it was published, that doesn't necessarily mean that that
the
happened.
airstrikes violated their ceasefire. Oh, this is like new.
This is new. Interesting that. Who's that person who's famously quoted as saying we don't negotiate with terrorists?
Uh, George Bush.
You mean Anakin Skywalker?
Yeah, I mean Anakin Skywalker. You're either with me or you're my enemy.
Yeah, there's something like in the situation. Okay, so obviously to Western countries, we would say Hamas is obviously a terrorist organization.
According to the U.S. government, yes.
Now, the ceasefire occurred with Hamas and Israel like a few months ago or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. They said like we'd stop or whatever. They have ordered evacuations in Gaza, eastern Gaza specifically, suggesting potential renowned ground operations against Hamas. Okay, so clearly, at least according to these bullet points, according to these bullet points, the season ain't season.
Yeah, the cease ain't ceased.
Okay, what? Let me start.
Yeah, the strikes across the Gaza Strip and
Oh, were you?
no, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay. Catholic Charity
Oh,
condemns Israel's new attack on the Gaza Strip.
oh, they're Catholics. Yeah, Israel continues strikes across Gaza. The strikes across Gaza Strip ended 2 months ago with relative calm since the ceasefire began on 19th of January.
Oh yeah, it was like January. Military.com is a website.
I bet.
Deutschlandfunk.
Deutschlandfunk.
The Pioneer Press. I haven't even heard of these things. Like,
Fake news.
let's see what kind of reporting BBC does. A video.
No, there's also a. This is just on the ground news. Is the word resuming with John Donison? What a name.
What?
But there's text too, right? Yeah, right.
It looks like it's just a bunch of videos with summaries beneath them.
Damn. Do we live in a society?
Oh no, I don't. I'm not looking at this. No, 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 no. Okay, let's see what the left is saying. USA Today is left,
Uh, whatever that means.
or it leans left, I guess. Let's see what USA Today says. Oh,
No!
why? Why did you do this to me?
Columbia? Oh, the country, not the university, of course.
Of course. The Independent. You check that one out.
Domestic politics over.
Hey, it let us in. Cool. Okay, domestic politics over hostages. Overnight bombardment of Gaza killed more than 400 people, shattering hopes of long-term peace. And then here's a photo to invoke emotion. This I like to assume is a human being, probably dead. Just a hunch. Where's the reader mode?
Reader.
Reader, I hardly.
You get no readers.
Is there no reader mode today? Oh. Oh man. Whatever. Okay, let's take a look. Okay, so they were shaken, yes, brokered by. Okay, the tense calm. It's a fragile ceasefire. Oh.
Ceasefire was shattered.
Okay, cool. He ordered the renewed offensive. From now on, act against Hamas with increasing military strength, blaming the group for its repeated refusal to release our hostage. Oh, so then Yahoo's claiming that they have Israeli hostages.
Which they do, certainly.
Okay. And they've rejected Netanyahu's proposal. I guess all of them, apparently.
Yeah, because I think they also were asking for them to get the fuck out of, like, don't occupy the place. And they were like, no, we'll continue occupying, but just give us back our hostages. So,
Yeah.
okay.
So it's just a shitty ceasefire to begin with, really.
Yeah. But at least they stopped bombing for the... Yeah, but remember we were talking about the Houthis yesterday.
We were talking about the Houthis.
The reason that the Houthis started reactivating their piracy against the ships in the Mediterranean Sea or whatever.
It's because they're terrorists.
Yeah, because Israel broke the ceasefire, so they were like, oh, okay, we're gonna resume our, defense of Palestine, do this. And that's why we were bombing Yemen, was because Israel bombed Palestine. The Yemen Houthi pirates started going against the people in the ocean, in the sea, and then we bombed them for doing that.
We
As in the United States of America.
got it. Mr. Netanyahu has something refused about a pressure from the families of the hostage to continue the truce and bring them home. Okay. Okay. Resume fighting will cost hostages their lives. We must stop the fighting. Return. Okay, so they're just not doing it. Okay. The Hamas militant group accused Netanyahu of upending the ceasefire. Yes. To an unknown fate. The remaining hostages to an unknown fate. Obviously trying to scare.
Well, I mean, if you bomb where the hostages in fact are,
You might just hit one.
and they have in fact killed some of the hostages from their bombing. So
That's tough. The ceasefire was supposed to consist of 3 phases. The first expired 2 weeks ago, and Hamas handed over 25 living hostages, and 8 others in exchange for the release of 2,000 Palestinian prisoners. Phase 2 is yet to be fully negotiated. This was supposed to pave the way for the long-term ceasefire. And the conclusion of that would be the return of all hostages. It's been rejected by the extreme right flank of the Israeli government, including Itamar Ben-Gvir, Minister of National Security, who resigned in protest when the initial Gaza ceasefire began. He wanted war.
wow, that's crazy. He was like, "Oh, you guys are trying to ceasefire and do an exchange?" Well,
Ama.
wow. To say like I'm actually so done with this that to
What?
resign after that—that's kind of wild.
Well, I'd imagine from his perspective, he
No
Itamar.
negotiating with terrorists.
Right. It's just that why are we going to negotiate with terrorists? And doing so is sort of an act of In his mind, I imagine it'd be an act of almost conceding, uh, the good for the evil, them being the evil.
Well, but also like for the lives of those who are, if they really cared about the hostages, if this was primarily about like, getting the hostages back, then you're kind of
Well, I
shooting
think
yourself
it's
in the
I
foot.
think it's primarily about ridding Hamas off the face of the earth. If you're Itmar Ben Gvir, I don't think I think releasing the hostages is a bonus, but I think what they want ultimately is the complete death of Hamas as any kind of organized military group.
Well, that's not what they were saying when they were saying the primary aim is to get the hostages back, and
No,
that's
that's
the
political,
linchpin of
Cameron.
the
I mean,
entire
I mean,
thing.
I mean, that's just political. That's just rhetoric. I don't think that's really the case. It must be true that they want to kill every single um, member of Hamas.
Palestinian.
Surely, uh, and maybe even that. Yeah, I mean, surely they want them out, right?
OUWT out.
Um, he's more preoccupied with satisfying his right-wing partners ahead of a budget vote. Oh, they have a budget vote next week. Saving
Oh,
his
just like us.
yes, then bringing his citizens home and building peace. Um, he was poised to return to the heart of government possibly within days. Huh? He's coming back?
He resigned.
But he's back? Okay, he wants to come back? Cool, I guess. Um, okay, a correspondent for the left-leaning newspaper the Haaretz put it on X. Then who had a choice? Return the hostages to their families? Or return Ben Gvir to the government to pass a budget? Oh, wait. He passes the budget.
Mm,
Oh, so they need him. Tremendous. Can't they just replace him with somebody else?
that's yeah. Must
Um,
be a tricky political process, as people
it
are
must
saying.
be some trickery. Corruption trials. He's denied the charges. Okay. He's canceled the hearings so he can focus on Gaza.
That's valid.
Yeah, bigger problems to deal with in my tenure. Um, okay. So Israeli media has reported he fired Barr to thwart planned investigations into how the 2023 Hamas attack happened.
Oh,
And into Israeli connections with funding streams to the militant group.
oh yeah. You know about that? Yeah, there's this idea. I don't know how valid it is, but there's some people suggest that uh because prior to this I think 2007 or whatever, like prior to the 2007 sorry, I was like not even, I was looking at my heater.
Cameron's doing some
um
obscene things.
um but like prior to like the 2007, I think there was an event there where like Hamas and Israel had like beef or whatever, or I guess maybe Palestine, but they were having had to be allowed to have elections for the longest time.
Right.
um and I think part of the reason why that came into effect was because or at least according to what I've heard, is that the far right parties of Israel, including people like Netanyahu, were funding like the more radical branch of the Palestinian like liberation front, so that they had more cause to like uh, increase security and increase like control over the area. Um,
Mm.
so it's kind of like the idea like Bush did 9/11 or whatever, like that's
Whoa.
the fucking like that meme or whatever that people say.
Never heard of that theory
um
before. That's news to
well,
me.
there's a lot of evidence to support that, the fact that they kind of knew that shit was gonna happen and they didn't like. So people go further and say no, they actually coordinated it so that they can move money or
It was
whatever,
an
but
inside job, I heard.
yeah, it was an inside job, sure, but like there is sort of evidence to support the fact that they kind of saw this coming at the very least and did nothing to get rid of the threat, so that they had justification for invading Iraq and Afghanistan. And similarly, that's the argument that people have said, except that there's money flows between like the right wing parties in Israel, including Netanyahu, and like Hamas and other terrorist organizations. So you should kind of look into you should look into that.
Yeah,
I
we
think
should. I think that's worth looking into.
uh,
Um, A primer on Hamas funding sources. Association of Certified Financial Crime Specialists.
Financial crimes. Oh, I guess.
Unraveling a complex web. A primer on Hamas funding sources, Iranian support, global connections, and compliance considerations. Okay.
Oh, they were going for the fucking alliteration on that one.
They were trying to do something.
Um, I feel like this one is not going to give us that, but let's see nonetheless. I mean,
Okay.
it's
Uh, so, for such an attack to occur, rockets to breach defenses, vehicles to storm checkpoints, paragliders to hurdle seemingly insurmountable walls, and an arsenal of weapons and ammunition, it needed funding. That makes sense. IDF rained down missiles, leveled buildings. Okay. Finding, freezing, seizing funds that could allow the group to continue the current offensive plan. Okay. IDF fusillades in the physical world, including sorties targeting banks, financial institutions with Hamas resources and assets. So where are they getting these financial resources and assets? How does Hamas get its funding? Moves monies through formal and informal financial institutions, and what regions are involved? We will shed light on how Iran channels funds to these blacklisted entities, detailing their methods, red flags, and transactional alerts. Iran has spent billions of dollars to arm, train, and fund groups like Hamas, Hezbollah, and PIJ, and others as proxies and fulcrum in its foreign and regional geopolitical policy goals, and to generally destabilize the Middle East and prevent peace among its warring factions. Not only did the Hamas attack come straight out of the Hezbollah playbook, but Iran has funded, trained, and armed both Hamas and Hezbollah for decades, investing billions of dollars over time in these groups in support of their terrorist activities. Who said this? One speaker at a congressional hearing Thursday on terror funding. Ultimately, Iran is fundamentally complicit in Hamas and Hezbollah's terrorist attacks. We go more in detail later. The funds Hamas earns in its state support of Iran and from being an elected government agency in Gaza is substantial. U.S. Israel estimate that Iran provides Hamas $70 million to $100 million a year, according to a congressional report. Prior to the massacre, the group was likely able to raise $300 million to $400 million or more a year through taxation, extortion, border control, and other means related to controlling the territory. Okay. Here's some immediate financial crime compliance considerations for banks, money service. Okay. So it's just like a call to action, I guess, here. It says here, like, charities and humanitarian aid. Corrupted charities have been Hamas terror finance portal for decades. Charities pop up to support a given attack or terror group, or they simply lie and they say the funds would be used to help impoverish Muslims. Parts of the goal of the terrorist groups is to dupe non-radicalized followers of the Muslim faith to steal what is known as zakat, the third pillar of Islam, a donation that Muslims consider a mandatory act within their faith.
like tithing.
Yeah, so basically they're weaponizing religion to fuel war.
Allegedly.
Like, hey, you have to give us money. We're protecting the Arab or the Muslim world. Followers of Islam release have a moderate amount of wealth required to give 2.5% of their liquid assets away to charity each year. Wow. I guess that would be if you're a terrorist group, it would be a very smart way to make money by using your religious law.
Yeah, like the Nazi Party and the Catholics.
Yeah, yeah, using your religion to justify, I guess, funding bad things. In other cases, terror groups operators work to infiltrate a larger trusted charity to position power. Okay, the group also covers humanitarian aid. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. So it's just a call to action. Cryptos. I'm not gonna read that bullshit.
But this can't be real.
Well, it can't be real.
Sorry, I'm what? Who the fuck is this?
Well,
Sorry,
what I'm reading or what you're reading?
What I'm reading. Here, I'll send you something.
I'll pull it up.
Shoddy, pull that up.
Jamie, pull it up.
Shoddy, pull that up.
Shoddy. Okay, Google Chrome is default. Let's take a look, shall we?
So I don't know how reliable this news source is. So take what's being said What is CBC? Have you heard of CBC?
I have never heard of CBC personally. I thought it said CBS at first.
Oh, this is Canadian news, I think.
Cool. Let's check it out. Um, okay, let's check it out. Can I please have a reader mode, like, so I could zoom in and shit? Like, please. Oh, reading mode. No, that's not reading mode. Is this supposed to be the reading?
That's reading mode.
There we go. Okay. So yeah, this is good. This is nice and ready mode. Okay. Um. Okay. Failing to proceed. Okay, cool. Many accuse him of deliberately empowering the group. We have to click this link, Cameron.
Do it.
Why did Netanyahu want to strengthen Hamas?
Well, let's see.
Okay.
So
Wait,
this is
it's not gonna let me.
is this Israel news? Oh, like this is
No.
an Israeli news source. Oh, this is the Haaretz, that thing that you were looking at earlier on Ground News.
Oh yeah, this was the left-leaning publication in Israel.
Yeah.
What the hell
Well,
does Zen read?
too bad you can't.
Oh man, why did you do?
Too bad you gotta subscribe.
No, there might be a way around this. Let me cook. Oops.
John Cook.
Let me John Cook.
BTS.
Let me John Cook real quick. Reading
Go
mode.
behind the scenes in John Cook.
No, it won't let me. This used to be a workaround. You used to be able to put things in reading mode.
Wait, did I say Brent? Did I say Brent?
Did you? Where did you see that?
Oh, never mind. I
Sperm?
was in the reading mode of the thing. I think one of the guys' names is Brent, but I'm just... all my homies hate Brent.
For
Anyway.
sure. Okay, well, I guess we can't actually see that opinion. I mean, it is an opinion article. I guess they all technically are, but
It's called Doc Side Stuff.
to sabotage a two-state solution.
Yeah.
There's been a policy of Netanyahu in Israel for instating a policy many years, strengthening Hamas, keeping Gaza on the brink, while weakening Palestinian Authority. And we've seen that happening very clearly on the ground. It's like, shout out my boy Chris. Hamas and Netanyahu, they mutually reinforce each other. They provide each other with a way to continue to use force, rejectionism, as opposed to making sacrifices and compromises in order to reach some kind of resolution. Keep Hamas alive and kicking, in quotes. I don't know who said that. The symbiotic relationship between Netanyahu and Hamas has been remarked for years by friends and enemies, hawks and doves.
Of course, it's New York Times, so I can't read that.
One of the main people contributing to Hamas strengthening has been Bibi Netanyahu since his first term as prime minister.
I'm gonna be so real. I didn't know that. Oh no. Oh, BB is a nickname. Okay.
Yeah.
It's Benjamin.
Yeah.
I was like, why are they calling him BB?
Bibi, do you love me?
True. In August 2019, the former prime minister told Israeli army radio that Netanyahu's strategy is to keep Hamas alive and cooking, even at the price of abandoning the citizens of the south, in order to weaken Palestinian Authority in Ramallah.
Where'd you see that?
That was the quote right before the blue parts.
I don't see him in color.
Oh. In August 2019, the paragraph begins.
I
It's
see.
above. Yeah. It's easier with Hamas to explain to Israelis that there's no one to sit with and no one to talk with.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. The critics of Hamas say with this bloodthirsty, or Netanyahu's critics, excuse me, say that with this bloodthirsty rhetoric, open anti-Semitism, and stated intention never to share the land played into the hands of a prime minister who also wanted to be able to tell Western government, U.S., that Israel has no partner for peace. Has allowed Netanyahu to confine the Palestinian Authority to the West Bank, weakening it, dividing the Palestinians into two mutually antagonistic blocks. Okay, Hamas puts its finger on the scales. The Oslo Accords.
Oh yeah, the Oslo Accord. So the far-right extremist group killed the the prime minister at the time
Of
for
Israel?
wanting, yeah, for
Really?
wanting to because the Oslo Accords are here. I'm reading what the Oslo Accords are a pair of interim agreements between Israel and the PLO, Palestinian Liberation Front organization, signed in D.C. in 1993. The Oslo Accord were supposed to create a two-state solution, I think, resulting in the recognition of Israel by the PLO and the recognition of the Israel or recognition by Israel of the PLO. Why would they write the sentence like that? As a representative of the Palestinian people, bilateral negotiation. So it was a two-state solution. Um, okay, so who was assassinated?
So it
How did
sounds like what they're suggesting is that peace could have been a factor. However, there are deliberate, organized efforts in the Israeli government to portray a narrative of complete radicalization of the Palestinians more generally, which provides them with support and sympathy to kind of justify war or war crimes essentially and further their goals of just a one state Israel.
Yeah, so the assailant of the guy who assassinated the prime minister at the time, who was responsible for the Oslo Accords, his name was Yigal Amir. He was an Israeli law student and ultra nationalist who radically opposed prime minister's peace initiative, and so he killed the prime minister because they were trying to do a two-state solution. So it was
Moo.
so yeah, exactly. Moo behavior. So yeah, the far right is already associated to an extent with wanting to have a one-state solution, and so um, this was part of that. And so people are saying that Netanyahu's performing a similar function with respect to that by saying, by funding Hamas and by funding like more radical branches, so that yeah, we don't have anybody to talk to. It's just this radical branch that doesn't want Israel to exist at all. So they're not looking for a two-state solution. So why should we?
Mm-hmm.
Um, anyway, so that's
Well, and we know that. However, we also know that it's not just the far right groups of Israel that want to maintain this destabilization. Obviously, Iran is still funding terrorist groups in the Middle East as well as a
yeah,
proxy. So there's lots of organized efforts to destabilize the region and prevent peace from occurring.
yeah,
Radicals in the Israeli government, but also also the radical government of Iran. Fair enough. Um, fair enough. Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of hands at play here, which kind of makes the situation tricky. Many people just want to blame Israel or blame Palestine, but it could very well be the case that in fact it's neither one or the other exclusively, but the U.S. is involved, Iran is involved. I mean, maybe it's a global shared blame, which certainly wouldn't fit the narrative of radicalization efforts in the United States or in the Middle East if we would say that, oh, hey, no, actually, it's actually multiple governments who are funding the instability in the region and making things worse.
well, yeah, like the United States.
And that's very often how the truth is. Is often the case that it's rarely just one group or the other in some kind of binary, but it's these details that really come in and shed light on just how impossible it is to do good sometimes when so much money and so much money is at stake here or power is at stake here and uh, yeah, that's certainly interesting to look into for sure. Um,
Yeah, see, yeah, Hamas also embarked on a ruthless suicide bombing campaign that helped Netanyahu pull ahead of Perez and win the election
Say
in
that again. Sorry.
1996. Oh, I was still looking at the article that we were reading.
Oh, did I cut you off?
Oh, no, I mean, looking at my screen too.
Okay.
But yeah, so I was saying Netanyahu first came to power in the 1996 election after the assassination of the prime minister at the time by an Israeli extremist opposed to the Oslo Accords. Um, blah blah blah. Determined to sabotage Oslo, Hamas also embarked on a ruthless suicide bombing campaign that helped Netanyahu pull ahead of Perez, uh, and win the election on May of 1996.
So they wanted Netanyahu to win.
So, well, I don't think Hamas wanted Netanyahu to win. They wanted to have a one-state solution, but for Palestine, and Netanyahu wanted a one-state solution for Israel. And so they both wanting one-state solutions makes it such that they are impossible to compromise with one another because, you know, so like for example, like Hamas might want well, yeah, Hamas might want Netanyahu to win so that it's impossible for them to negotiate with each other, and so they have justified grounds to
Murder each other.
yeah, commit so that Hamas can take control over the West Bank, for example. But at the same
Mm.
time, yeah, Netanyahu wants Hamas to have control over the West Bank so that they can't cooperate, and so that the
Well, yeah,
peace
because
negotiations are
imagine if there
impossible.
was cooperation. Imagine if it was maybe the more left side of the Israeli government that won, proposed actual peace and didn't violate ceasefire agreements. And then simultaneously, uh, Iran or Hamas. Well, because obviously Hamas only has power by virtue of the fact that it is being funded by. I mean, because let's be real. I mean, for a very poor state like Palestine to organize, like it's not really like that's why it's not the Palestinian like for those who accuse like all Palestinians of being this way. It's clearly not the Palestinian people who are terrorists, obviously, because Hamas, in order to have those weapons, in order to have the means, the capital to organize the weaponry to enable an attack to occur, definitely requires a lot of money to buy armaments, and we know how expensive armaments are. But the military industrial complex globally surely doesn't like to keep things cheap.
Well, but they're also using like cheaply made like in the way that we use like $1 million rockets, and so does Israel by virtue of us funding them. You know,
Oh,
Hamas
sure,
only
sure.
uses like
I
ground-fed
wouldn't
rockets or
expect
whatever.
them to have
Like just
American
using
missiles.
fucking it's like using a fucking catapult. Like they use fucking pretty much catapult weapons. Which is why you see
Well,
the
they have
difference in
RP.
like
I've seen they have like RPGs. I mean, I've seen them come out. I've seen a video where Hamas insurgents came out of a tunnel and were shooting Israeli tanks with RPGs.
no, yeah, they have RPGs, but RPGs aren't too hard to manufacture. You know, like it's not like an
Well, no,
expensive
no. I mean,
thing.
it's not that it's hard to manufacture, but I mean, you have to get the technology from somewhere. I mean, it's a rocket propulsion device. I mean, that's not some easy thing to make in your backyard. Uh,
It kind of is.
an RPG is not.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't know. I mean, I wouldn't know.
No, no. I mean, it's a missile. It's a missile that can be launched from hundreds of feet away. Like that. It's a rocket system, Cameron. Essentially, like that. That is not something that poor people can just build. Okay, like no, you can't
You
do.
kind of just need a bunch of propane.
No,
Like,
Cameron.
have you seen those people create like bottle rockets in their backyard, like on YouTube? Like, it really doesn't require that much.
Well, granted, I'm not saying that it's like a Stinger missile. Like I'm not saying it's like technologically advanced, like a heat sensor. But like I'm just saying that like
It's a
oh, I don't
glorified
want to go.
can.
I'm not googling that. Never mind. I was gonna Google how to build an RPG-7. Okay, definitely not
Yeah,
googling
that's
that.
great.
How are RPG-7s made? Okay, it's a rocket propelled grenade. It consists of a reusable tube launcher, rocket propelled grenade with a warhead, which is fired by a percussion fired rocket that launches out of a tube with the. Okay, yes, I understand. I understand what it
There it
does.
is.
Okay. Um. Yeah, because this obviously is much cheaper than like an American rocket, but um, low cost effective opportunity made it most widely used an anti armor weapon in the world. 40 countries use the weapon. It's manufactured in several variants by 9 countries. It's popular with the regular and guerrilla forces. Okay. The RPG-7D. It's obviously Russian, as we know. The Russians invented the RPG-7. For those who don't know, paratrooper model, which can be broken down in 2 parts. Okay, yes. And then the Chinese model, yes, we know. It was developed by the Soviets. I know that. Okay, the current model produced by the Russian Federation is a 7v2 capable of firing standard and dual high explosive anti-tank heat rounds. Wow.
Wow, there's the aerodynamics of the thing.
Wow. I mean, like, the launcher is reloadable based on a steel tube. Okay.
Okay, we don't need a description.
Yeah.
What's the cost?
Okay. Let's see. 300. Okay. Tandem charge device used to defeat reactive armor with a single shot. The Russian. Okay. Current production, cool. Specifications, okay, cool. Uh, hit pro.
Probabilities. Okay, cool.
Okay, have the history. My point is just that this. I guess it's not going to tell us. I guess we could just Google. How much does an RPG-7 cost? I'm really scared looking this up. Not in America. Oh, here. Wait.
That's the same shit you were just on, brother.
But it showed the. Wait.
Why don't you control F cost or price?
Price. Wait.
Dollar sign.
Wait. Price.
Wait, price. Wait, price reference. You could do dollar sign. If you do dollar sign, it'll surely bring you up. If there is anything to say.
How do I find it?
No, just no dollar signs.
But look, it shows.
What is that?
I mean, it says unit cost, but
I can't read that. On your
okay.
screen.
Hold on.
How is Hamas a terrorist group? Increasingly from Israel. I mean, I guess they're stealing their weapons.
Maria Abi Habib Shachri Frankel.
Right, brother.
Well, I'm trying to pronounce it correctly. What would you rather I say? Maria Abi Hub. Like, what do you want me to say?
Maria Abi Habib.
That's what I said.
Sure. Frankel.
It was Frankel that I fucked up. Okay, they conclude it's a number of weapons you buy most numbers from text and go to the game. Unlike the source, analysts have pointed to the underground smuggling routes to explain how Hamas stays so heavily armed despite an Israeli military blockade of the Gaza Strip. Recent intelligence has shown the extent to which Hamas has been able to build many of its rockets, because this is what I was wondering, out of thousands of munitions that failed to detonate when Israel lobbed them into Gaza.
Lobbed them.
They just threw them over the wall. They said, "Here, Gaza, take this." According to weapon experts and Israeli and Western intelligence, Hamas is also arming its fighters with weapons stolen from Israeli military bases. I was gonna say they're not building the weapons themselves. Was kind of my point. Was just that I don't think they have the infrastructure.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, like my point was just that, like more generally, was just that like they surely don't have the means to build the technology. No matter, even though it is more primitive than like American technology, like it still has to come from somewhere. Intelligence gathered in the months of misjudge Hamas intent. How do you misjudge Hamas's intentions? There's always a misjudging of terror intentions. You notice that, like throughout history, like we didn't think Osama bin Laden was actually gonna do anything.
Well,
We didn't think the Japanese were gonna bomb Pearl Harbor. We did.
I mean, it might just be like a misunderstanding of the extent to which they.
It always is.
Plan them.
No, I know. I understand what happened. I'm just saying that it is a reoccurring misjudgment is a reoccurring human fallible trait, I suppose, is all I'm saying. Nothing new.
Well, every time people judge, we just don't hear about it. When they judge properly and detain them early enough, we just don't
That's
hear about
true.
it most of
That's a good point. That's a good point. The very weapons that Israel forces have used to enforce the blockade over the Gaza the past 70 years are now being used against them. Just like American weapons were used against Americans. Israel and American military explosives have enabled Hamas to shower Israel with rockets and for the first time invade Israel. Okay, so they largely stole it from Israel and America too. Unexploded ordnance is the main source of explosives for Hamas. The former deputy head of Israeli National Police Bomb Disposal Division. They are cutting open bombs from Israel, artillery bombs from Israel, and a lot of them are being used, of course, repurposed for their explosive rockets. Explosive engineers were moving an unexploded Israel missile in Khan Yunis in the southern Gaza Strip. That'd be funny. Imagine just being in your little house here and, there's just like a giant rocket on your balcony.
Yeah.
And there's just people standing. Like, this can go off, by the way, at like any moment. And everyone's here like, la, 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 la.
They're used to this. They're used to that shit, brother.
I know, it's just crazy. Like, this can go off at any moment, and everyone's standing here like, hello, you guys can all die. You do realize if this goes off. Anyways, Weapon experts say that 10% of munitions typically fail to detonate. Yeah, that makes sense. The fighter could be higher. The figure could be higher. Israel's arsenal includes Vietnam era missiles.
I don't doubt it.
Jeez. The failure rate on those missiles could be as high as 15%. Well, that's not good. Years of sporadic bombardment had littered the area with thousands of tons of unexploded ordnance. One 750-pound bomb fails to detonate can become hundreds of missiles or rockets. That's kind of crazy. Hamas did not respond to the messages seeking comment. Well,
I wonder why.
I wonder how a person goes about asking Hamas, like, "Hey Hamas, it's me, Timmy. I was just curious. How are you getting all your bombs, if you don't mind?"
Well, I mean, look, I think we have a really weird framing of these people who are members of Hamas, but if you recognize Hamas as like sort of like the provisional government of the region, they're
That's
not
true.
just
That's true.
terrorists.
They are
They're
the provisional government of the region. Yeah.
they are like they're as terroristic as the Israeli government is. Just the reason that we designate one as terrorist and the other is not is because they're our allies and people that we respect or whatever, and the other is a group that we don't. Like they use very similar tactics. They have very similar ideas. Just one is recognized, the other is not, as a terrorist group.
Yeah.
And so like, you could just talk to fucking the dudes.
Okay, the Palestinian Authority controlled the Gaza Strip prior to the Palestinian elections of '06 and the subsequent Gaza conflict between the Fatah and Hamas. So there's more at stake here. There's also the Fatah-controlled government, which is the Palestinian National Authority. See, that's kind of what I meant. I mean...
Yeah, this is why Hamas and Netanyahu are friends, because in the same way that Hamas wants a single-state solution, so does Fatah, I think. Fatah wanted a dual-state solution or whatever, a two-state solution.
That's a headline that'll catch eye attention. Hamas and Netanyahu, best friends.
I mean, that's what we were reading.
I know, but imagine the headline. The clickbait, quote unquote. The Palestinian Authority. Okay. Since January 23rd, the U.S. Palestinian Authority has used the same state of Palestine on official documents without prejudice to the Palestinian Liberalization Organization role as representative of the Palestinian people. Okay, so it was formed in '94, pursuant to the Jericho Agreement. A 5-year interim body for the negotiations were to take place between two parties. Okay, cool. Exclusive control for security-related and civilian issues. Clarification needed. Area A, Area B. So I guess it's really like delocalized. Like different parts of Palestine have different governmental control.
I think the West Bank and Gaza have different governments.
I
mean, sort of by virtue of the fact that they're not connected.
Yeah. East Jerusalem was excluded from the records. Okay. IDF took several strategic positions. Okay. Okay, cool. 06. Hamas emerged victorious and nominated. What would you say, Cameron?
Yeah, that's what I was. Yeah. Gonna say. Yeah.
And that collapsed the unity of the Palestinian government. Okay, when a violent conflict between Hamas and Fatah erupted, mainly in the Gaza Strip. So I mean, like that's another thing. Hamas is also fighting amongst its own its own people as well.
Yeah, I mean, in the same way that fucking far right person killed the prime minister or whatever, it's very similar.
Yeah, and this just reinforces my idea that these things are not a binary. It's not just the Palestinian people exclusively being, maybe killed by, Israelis. I mean, they are killing each other as well. Palestinians also kill Palestinians, and their sense of power in that region is also destabilized by the Fatah and Hamas parties, respectively. Just further adds to the more complicated nature of the situation, I think. Okay, yeah, it wasn't recognized. There was only 2 weeks. Okay, cool. But failed to produce a reunification. Okay. Financial assistance to the European Union financed the Palestinian Authority, and the U.S. also funded about $1 billion. All direct aid was suspended in '06 as a result of the Hamas victory in parliamentary elections. Shortly thereafter, aid payments resumed that were channeled directly to the offices of Mahmoud Abbas in the West Bank. Okay. So it's supposed to have ended. Hamas supporters and many in the Gaza Strip have withdrawn recognition for his presidency and instead consider Aziz Dweik the speaker of the Palestine. Oh no. No. Whatever. I just wanted to see like what they were. Okay, fair enough.
So in any case, I
Any
was just
rate.
saying like, yeah, how do you reach out to Hamas in the same way you reach out to like the Israel group? I mean, they're not like just terrorists. You know?
Yeah, I just can't recall the last time I saw a Hamas representative in Washington.
Oh yeah, because they're not formally recognized, which is why they don't show up because they're not formally recognized. But like that formal recognition is kind of just an arbitrary designation by the U.S. government and by international bodies or whatever.
Oh sure. I mean, if the world doesn't recognize you, are you real?
Well, part of the reason the world doesn't recognize you is because America and Israel have a veto power or whatever. So if Israel
Mm-hmm.
or if America says no to something, like if the entire world says the embargo on Cuba is illegal, but the United States says no, actually it's fine. Who gives a fuck? Then their singular voice outweighs everybody else because they have their veto power. So
Yeah.
like, so I mean, it's very similar. It's like if America says something, it is kind of recognized on the global stage.
Yeah,
Like no,
America is like the father of the household, you know? Like, the kids can want to get ice cream, but if the dad says we're not getting ice cream today, you're not getting ice cream.
that's one way to look at it. Or you can look at like a dictator that has a stranglehold on the rest of the universe. You know.
Yeah, but they agreed to those terms to give US that veto power because the United States funds and protects all of Europe.
Yeah.
So they can have peace and enjoy their socialist programs while we have to fuel
Well,
our
but
mil-
this is not just NATO. This is the United Nations more generally. And so it's also the Soviet Union had it, and China, and England, and France. But America is one of the only nations that like use their veto power as frequently as they do,
Well, America
because
uses their veto.
the rest of the countries just kind of go hand in hand and collaborate with
Well, and
each
the
other.
rest of the world's pretty complicit in allowing the United States to do what they want because they benefit greatly from what the United States does for them.
The Western
I
nations
mean,
are
it's
certainly.
like it's certainly like obviously the power is certainly not equalized for sure. I mean, obviously if the U.S. can and does do whatever it wants, like no one's debating that. I just think that there's reasons why they have that power. It's not just that
I mean, yeah, it's historically
it's not
conditioned
like
that
the
people
U.S.
do it.
has like a gun to the heads of its allies and like, hey, you better fucking do as I say, or I'm gonna kill you,
Well, it did
motherfucker.
in the 40s and 50s, and that's
Well,
part of
it
the
did
reason
in the
why.
40s and
And
50s because it saved the world from Nazi Germany, maybe.
well, Soviet Union did too, but
Yeah,
you know,
but I mean, at what cost to them, right? I mean, they weren't in a position to, you know, really stop all of the forces.
I mean, they did more than America did for sure.
They certainly died more.
Yeah,
Uh,
they
I
sent
mean,
their
I mean,
bodies and
I mean. Funny enough, the Russians sent millions of people to die. Not all of their own people even had weapons. Some would carry 5 bullets in their hand, and when their other comrade died, they would pick up their gun and grab the 5 bullets that they were holding and put it in the gun and fight, and then they die. I mean, the Russians are fighting strategy is just insane. Like, it's just throw bodies at the problem. Like, eventually and to be fair, I mean, Germany invading in the winter is sort of why they lost. I think if that had not happened, Russia would probably have gotten fucked. But
I disagree with that. I think it's not good historical analysis.
I mean, that is why that is why Germany had to retreat.
But they also didn't invade in the winter. They just happened to be invading onto winter, like in through winter in a way
Well,
that they shouldn't have.
yeah. Well, I mean but that is a serious like military detriment, though. I,
Well, yeah, if you think it's gonna be simpler to take than it is, and you start the invasion in July, thinking, oh, it should only go to September or whatever, right?
yeah.
And then it goes into
Yes, the Eastern Front. The Battle of Stalingrad. Soviet Union suffered the largest absolute number of casualties in Europe with an estimated 26 million deaths. Jesus, man. German losses. Germans suffered 3/4 of their wartime losses fighting Red Army, pushing back the Wehrmacht.
yeah. So like the Russians did 3/4 of the work.
Well, on the Eastern Front.
Well, yeah, because they were the only
And
ones on
also,
the
we
Eastern
weren't
Front.
fighting Germany exclusively. We were also fighting Japan and
No, of course, but all I'm saying is that like
And Italy. I mean,
we
let's.
have this narrative of like the Western powers
Well, I mean, if it were not for the U.S., we would. I mean, if it were not for the U.S., the Axis forces would have won.
uh
Whereas you can't say
I
the
don't know.
same about Russia.
I disagree with that 100%. 100% disagree with that. Like I uh, Russia was winning on the Eastern Front. I think the reason, I mean, like that they captured the capital of Berlin, you know?
Hmm.
Like they got to the capital before we did or whatever. Like I think obviously the problem was that Germany was trying to fight a two-front war, which is fucking stupid obviously. But and so because they were fighting a two-front war, Russia without the Western incursion, Russia would have
Like this
struggled against
article
the Eastern
says.
incursion.
This article says what you're saying. Don't forget how the Soviet Union saved the world from Hitler.
Yeah.
It has the complete opposite perspective. Oh, and I can't even look at it.
Yeah.
Hey, Harvard University.
Oh, I know somebody who's there.
Me too. Uh, I just want to skim through this really quick. The Soviet Union's role has been obscured in myths. Myths that initially arose out during the Soviet period have multiplied since Vladimir Putin. Is that Poland started the war?
Okay. Yeah. I heard that too, actually.
I've never heard anyone say Poland started the war.
Oh yeah, they shouldn't have. They shouldn't have been sitting there.
Colluding for nearly 2 years with Nazi Germany. Um. Oh yes, because they occupied eastern Poland, including massacres and widespread rapes, is a taboo subject in Russia nowadays under legislation adopted in May. Information on military memorial commemorative. Yeah, so if you say the Russian military did anything bad or committed war crimes, you basically go to jail. Nice.
Seems like we're getting there too.
Russian scholars who wish to investigate and write about Sentinel are doing so, lest they be sent to prison. Operation Barbarossa, the largest invasion in history. 5,000 aircraft. The all-out onslaught of the Wehrmacht knocked out the Red Army out of the war in the initial days. However, despite the conditions, Soviet soldiers managed to rally back. They bore the brunt of the fighting in Europe, eventually launching massive counteroffensives that drove the Wehrmacht out of Eastern Europe and back into Germany, where the final surrender took place in Berlin. The Soviet Union suffered far the largest absolute number of casualties in Europe, with 25 million killed. But on a per capita basis, Poland actually endured greater losses. They fought with horrifying brutality, perpetuated systemic atrocities, temper commemorations of it in Russia. The immense heroism of Soviet soldiers in fighting the Wehrmacht is undeniable, but the much darker side of the Soviet war effort is also undeniable. It is unfortunate that in Russia nowadays only glorious images and speeches are tolerated. It would be much better, not only for the history of Russia, but also for the country's future. Russian leaders willing to encourage a much more even-handed discussion. Okay, so this article was just about all the war crimes Russia committed in the process. That's not what I wanted to read about. Anyways, aside from that tangent,
Anyway, can we get back to?
where were we? Remind us, Cameron.
I mean, I was interested in the extent to which Hamas and the right-wing Israel government are in a symbiotic relationship with one another by virtue of their shared desire for a one-state solution for either party.
Yeah.
So I wanted to see like that article.
Which one?
With, the one where it was like, uh,
Did I skip it?
how Netanyahu's Hamas policy came back to haunt him and Israel
Is that on the ground news?
on CBC.
Oh, that's right, the CBC one you sent me.
Yeah, I was.
Or did you send it to me, or were you just reading it?
I sent it to you. You were looking at it before.
Oh, here it is.
Yeah.
Okay, where were we here?
This puts this finger on the scales. So, Blah blah blah. Okay.
There it is.
Some of the same extremists who called for Rabin's death hold power in Netanyahu's government.
Wait, and Rabin's death was the more left-leaning Israeli leader that was
Who was trying to
assassinated.
who's trying to do the or two-state solution.
Mm. Oh, this Ben Gavir.
Oh, it's him!
Wow.
Wow, it all comes full circle. It's funny how these things are
Look, he
connected.
looks like such a young little kid here.
Yeah, he has a little broken
He's
wrist.
a little
Silly
broken,
guy.
little silly wrist, a little funny hat. Um,
It's a dude.
just 2 weeks before Rabin's assassination, a young settler extremist posed for the cameras with a cattle. Uh-oh. Is that rhetoric?
Oh, so,
Interesting verbiage. I wonder. A young. Okay, we're just gonna say Ben Gavir posed for the camera with a Cadillac hood ornament that he stole from Rabin's car. Just like we got this emblem, he said we could get to Rabin.
God, okay.
That's kind of crazy. Today, the young man, Itmar Ben Gavir, is 45 years old. Oh, this is him.
Yeah, it's him now. He looks the same. He's
Wow.
just older. Wow.
He's just older. And look, him and Ben look so happy. Like they're best friends.
They're friends. Yeah, they
They're-
like each other.
Okay. And has 8 Israel criminal convictions, including convictions for supporting a terrorist organization and incitement to racism.
That's real.
Wow. Once he was rejected by the IDF for his you know it's bad when the IDF rejects you.
Yeah, that's wild.
Isn't that funny?
That's crazy.
Rejected by the IDF. Oh man, that's pretty funny. Now Israel's police must answer to him as Benjamin Netanyahu's Minister of National Security. Many analysts believe that one of the main goals of the Hamas attack on Israel was to derail the normalization talks. So this is like what we were saying. Oh, between Israel and Saudi Arabia, which would have left the Palestinians on the sidelines. Hamas didn't want Israel to talk to Saudi Arabia, which would have left the Palestinians on the sidelines. In a remarkable speech, Saudi Prince Faisal unleashed on Hamas for its atrocities and obstructionism. But he also had words for Israel. I condemn Hamas for further undermining the Palestinian Authority, as Israel has been doing. So they're both undermining Palestinian Authority, according to this Saudi intelligence chief and ambassador to the US. I condemn Hamas for sabotaging the attempt of Saudi Arabia to reach a peaceful resolution to the plight of the Palestinian people. And I condemn Israel for funneling Qatari money to Hamas. So once again, like exactly what we were saying earlier, Hamas and Israel are responsible for preventing peace for the true Israeli people and the true Palestinian people. According to this article, at least. Prince
Turkey was referring. Wow.
You can read it if you want.
Prince Turkey was referring to money that Qatar royal family has been sending to Gaza for years, to the tune of about $1 billion. Hamas is an asset.
Hamas is an asset. He was the first to report that Bibi had dispatched Cohen, an IDF's officer in charge of Gaza, to beg the Qataris to send more money. Both Egypt and Qatar are angry with Hamas. And maybe that's why Egypt didn't want to take any Palestinians. Planning to cut ties with them. Suddenly, Netanyahu appears as the defender of Hamas. Netanyahu, defender of Hamas. A year later, Netanyahu was further embarrassed when photos of suitcases full of cash going to Hamas became public. We have to see these. Sorry, Cameron. I have to see this. Well, how do we know this is full of cash, though? I wouldn't doubt it. Anyways, the first time Israel's funding terrorism against itself. That's tough.
Oh yeah, he resigned.
He denounced the payments and then quit. What would an IDF invasion of Gaza look like? Okay, we already seen that. The Palestinian Authority, Ahmed Majdalani, accused the Qatari envoy of carrying money to Hamas like a gangster. They did not agree. They did not agree to daily facilitate money to Hamas that way. He was defeated by a new government that stopped the cash deliveries to Hamas. But that government just lasted 18 months. And Netanyahu returned to power with a new and more extreme partner who backed the policy of fostering Hamas to prevent a negotiated settlement. Uh,
Netanyahu's current minister explained the approach to Israel as Pesnet channel in 2015. Hamas is an asset, and Palestinian Authority leaders is a burden.
mm, Hamas to weaken Oslo. He
Yeah.
defended the payments to his Likud party caucus on the grounds that they weakened the pro-Oslo Palestinian Authority.
Whoa, wait a minute. He defended Hamas payments? Be fucking for real. You're joking.
No, why would he be joking? I mean, he brought into office people who assassinated or were sympathetic to assassinations of political opposition. I wouldn't be surprised.
I just can't believe he would actively say, "Oh yeah, I
Well,
think
think about it.
freeing
All the
Hamas is
power he
cool."
has now, he's already undone his democratic process and avoided all investigations. I mean, he's like a dictatorial leader now in Israel almost,
It's just wild.
which means he can kind of do whatever he wants. I think. I mean, who's gonna stop him?
Hamas.
Hamas, who also he has in his pocket. See, this is crazy. Like, it's a crazy world we live in when, like, the opposition that like you think one group is fighting another, but in reality, but now we're in a day and age where one group is absolutely funding the other, and it's like, well, then who's even to blame anymore? Like this is a crazy state of affairs. It's like, yeah, like obviously Netanyahu just wants a one party state of Israel. We know that. Hamas obviously wants the same thing. Netanyahu is just betting that he'll win that battle, so he doesn't care if he gives them money because he thinks he'll still win
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And that's just the fact. He's like, yeah, we'll give you money and let you live. We don't care. You try your best to make a one-party Palestinian state. Good luck, bud. You know, we have America on our side, and we have Saudi Arabia. Sure, you have Iran, but I mean, like, we have better technology and infrastructure. Like, we'll win. You know.
Yeah.
And that's the crazy thing is that in the end, both of these radical governments, the Israeli radical government and the Hamas radical government, are neither want true peace, and yeah, and it's like, what do you even do in this situation? It's like, if you're America, obviously, you probably benefit from Israel winning more so than you benefit from Hamas winning. Um, and so, from America's perspective, that's probably why they're like, yeah, fuck it. I guess we just fund Israel, right? Because they're our ally.
Yeah, let's just fund a genocide because it's better for us.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, it's like they're also our ally, so technically, it's like, you know. I mean, at the end of the day, though, it's like you're funding a massacre one way or the other. It's like if you give money to Hamas, it's going to be the same thing on the other side. If you give it to Israel, it's going to be that against them. So it's like there is no real peace because both their governments are hijacked.
Yeah.
There is no democracy in that region. There's no proper election. There's no it's a lawless land. Which is kind of sad, but what do you do?
Prime Minister defended Israel's regular allowing of Qatari funds to be transferred into Gaza, saying it was part of the broader strategy to keep Hamas and Palestinian Authority separate. Yeah. The Prime Minister also said that whoever is against a Palestinian state should be for transferring the funds to Gaza because maintaining a separation between the Palestinian Authority and the West Bank and Hamas in Gaza helps prevent the establishment of a Palestinian state. That's fucking crazy. That's fucking crazy to just like outright say that shit, actually.
And well, this was the Saudi guy who said this?
This is not Netanyahu.
Oh.
According to the Jerusalem Post, Netanyahu defended Israel's this. The Prime Minister also said that whoever is against the Palestinian state should be for funding Gaza.
Whoever is against a Palestinian state should be for transferring the funds to. When they say transferring the funds to Gaza, they mean transferring the funds to Hamas, right?
Yeah, because Gaza, Hamas is like the government of Gaza, and Palestinian authorities.
Because if you give money to Hamas, this will induce maintain separation between the Palestinian government, maybe their true democratic government, and the West Bank. Yeah, so Palestine can't even consolidate into a one-party state because of this division between Hamas and the Palestinian Authority.
Authority.
A Palestinian Hamas government employee waits to receive 60. Okay. Netanyahu insisted that none of the money nor the construction material given to Hamas would be diverted to military purposes. Or given to would be. But today, IDF finds itself showing how Hamas has done exactly that by diverting and controlling civilian funds and materials to warlike purposes. The military tried to warn him at the time. IDF chief of staff told Ma'ariv newspaper that Netanyahu acted in total opposition to the national assessment of the National Security Council, which determined that there was a need to disconnect from the Palestinians and establish two states.
Yeah.
Wow. We Gaza border residents are paying the price for the lack of policy and the arrogance in facing terror, said Labour Party Knesset member Haim Jenin. These words would prove to be a terrible precedent 4 years later. Yes, obviously it would be. He is a resident of this kibbutz Be'eri. Small community was devastated by Hamas on October 7th. Roughly 1/3 of its residents were murdered while others were taken into captivity. So this was a guy whose community was devastated by Hamas. Catch 22 for the two-state solution. A physician member of the PLO was a key figure in talks between Hamas and Fatah that sought to unify the Palestinians in one single bloc that can negotiate. Yeah, like, so we can't even talk about a two-party solution until Fatah and Hamas can create a one-party, like a consolidated government. Each time that we move toward unity, Netanyahu would launch a campaign claiming that Palestinian leader Mohammed Abbas is cooperating with terrorists. But each time Netanyahu was asked, why don't you negotiate with Abbas? He would say, I can't negotiate with Palestinian authorities. That doesn't represent all Palestinians. And so he would use Hamas and his division to justify his absolute objection to any negotiated peace agreement. That's probably exactly what he sounds like. I can't negotiate with the Palestinian authorities. It doesn't represent all Palestinians.
You know that's true. You know it.
Why don't you negotiate with Abbas?
It's all of them, okay?
Yeah, I mean it's like, yeah, like you know that song? What's it called? What's it called? Oh, War Pigs, yeah. Mm-hmm. It's just like this. This song from Black Sabbath, like, generals gathered in their masses just like witches at black masses, evil minds that plot destruction, sorcerers of death construction. In the fields, the bodies burning as the war machine keeps turning. Death and hatred to mankind, poisoning their brainwashed minds. I mean, this is exactly what's going on here. We got some fucking war pigs going on, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, and the U.S. is complicit in it because they want to continue giving money to Israel because it benefits the Lockheed Martin and shit like that.
There's another good one. Politicians hide themselves away. They only started the war. Why should they go out to fight? They leave all that to the poor. Yes, time will tell on their power minds, making war just for fun, treating people just like pawns in chess. Wait till their judgment day comes. Yeah.
With car solo.
Yeah,
That's right.
The current war has ended U.S. and Israeli hopes of Israel normalizing relations with neighboring countries without first resolving the Palestinian issue. Goal number 1. One of the main results of what has happened is to show that normalization between Israel and some Arab countries does not solve the problem. It has reestablished the Palestinian issue as a central issue in this whole knot. Most of the world thought that it could sideline this issue. Certainly the U.S. thought that, but now it's clear that it is the key to stability in the region as a whole. Biden, United States wants 2 states.
Look here, folks.
Why does he sound like Bill Clinton? I don't know. They're attacking Palestinians in places they're entitled to. Okay, Biden, I'm sorry, but everything you say is. When this crisis is over, there has to be a vision of what comes next.
And it has to be a 2-state solution. Wow.
And it has to
Neither
be.
Hamas nor Netanyahu share that vision, though.
Hamas does not recognize Israel's right to exist and lays claims to all the land from the river to the sea. And yeah, and Netanyahu's faction of the government also doesn't recognize Hamas's right to exist either. And
Well,
just
Palestine more generally.
or Palestine more general. Well, okay. I mean, it doesn't sound like they're beefing with the other party in Palestine. It's just Hamas. But obviously, he wouldn't agree with it. He wouldn't be friends with the other party either because they would try to create a one state. I mean, well, it doesn't matter because like yeah, if Hamas isn't going to cooperate with other Palestinians, then it doesn't really matter what Netanyahu thinks. We know he doesn't want true peace. Or maybe he thinks he wants true peace, but he's on a power like high or something. Damage likely to be lasting. Yeah, we know. We know. Hamas and Netanyahu may both prove harder to eliminate than their enemies hope. But even if they leave the scene, the damage to the two-state solution is not easily undone.
Oh, wait. There's this last paragraph of the prior section.
Here?
And just 12 days before the Hamas massacres in southern Israel, Netanyahu addressed the UN General Assembly, holding a map of what he called the New Middle East that showed all of the West Bank and Gaza, as well as East Jerusalem and the Syrian Golan Heights, as part of an enlarged Israel, no Palestinian state in sight. Let's see this map.
See the map.
Germany. That's fucking crazy. He's like, hey guys, look at this.
Look at my map, though.
It's boggers.
I can imagine Netanyahu in a kindergartner class, and the teacher's like, "Okay, let's practice geography. Okay, Benjamin, how about you show us? How about you show us your geography painting?" And he's like, "Yes, teacher, this is the New Middle East."
I drew a new map.
I drew a new map. I like this one better. It's one big Israel, a big Saudi Arabia, and Egypt and Sudan.
Yeah, I mean that's just
I should make this my profile photo.
him with his little marker. Hey guys, look at me.
Yeah, dude. I think I'm gonna make this my profile header. I mean, he literally looks like a little kid as he's plotting destruction. I mean, look, he has like a childlike, like
Smirk.
glee.
He's mischievous.
He's almost like gleeful about this. Like yes. I mean, now granted, look, if you're Israeli, obviously it's not. There is obviously going to be a lot of Israelis who would rather just have the entirety of, well, I don't know about a lot, but I imagine there would be, at least some kind of like fair faction that would just want it to be all of Israel.
No, I mean it's the same way that a lot of Americans are now saying, "Yeah, I fucking want Canada."
Yeah, we want all of Canada, and we want it to be named the Gulf of America, and we want the American Canal back.
Yep, and we want Greenland and
we want American land.
Mexico.
We want Maryland and America. We want everything American.
Yeah, I think that it's very similar, which is why Trump and Netanyahu get along so well. They have very similar.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, warmonger leaders will always want more land, more power. It's never satisfying. You're never satisfied with anything that you have. You always need more. Yeah. I mean, what did we learn so far? I mean, yeah, so we know that obviously the Hamas conflict with Israel is impossible really to persist until Hamas and Rafah, or was it? Whatever, the Palestinian National Government can come to some kind of terms. And we also know that Hamas doesn't want peace either. So, like, for sure they don't. I mean, there were some narratives that people were trying to spin that they, in fact, did, and that they were fighting on behalf of the Palestinians as a representative, but that clearly just isn't true.
Well, I mean, yeah, they're representing the Palestinians.
They're representing a radical faction of the Palestinians.
As much as the current.
Yeah, they're just as much as terrorists as the IDF are. I mean,
well, there's also scale, but there's also scale. And also the fact that
I don't know if you could justify deliberately and intentionally not trying to find peace in your region as a good thing, but
no, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that the reason that Hamas was even able to come into power in the first place was because of the atrocious conditions that they're existing in like an open air prison in an apartheid state in Israel, and that radicalized a bunch of people. And when people keep getting detained on spurious grounds and their land keeps getting taken and their ceasefires keep being broken, you're going to radicalize a bunch of people. When if your family gets killed by somebody, and the only avenue for revenge or to get back what was lost or whatever, or to
No, it's
try
just.
to
I
stop
mean,
this
it's
in the
just quite.
future.
It's quite frankly not true. I mean, we like, like for example, the United States funded the opposing governmental force in Palestine. Hamas did not want the peace, and the same way Israel did not want the peace.
No, I'm not saying that Hamas wants the peace. I'm saying that of course it's easy. Like it's
all
easy
I'm
to become
all I
radicalized.
know. All I'm saying is that a person shouldn't support Hamas or believe that they're justified in any way, or that it's some kind of, or even make the argument that it's somehow good, when we know there were opportunities for peace, and we know it did not have to lead to this, to terrorism on both ends.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying is like people should not be protesting Israel any more than they're protesting Hamas. Like they're and it's not like it's all of Israel either. It's just the right wing faction of the Israeli government, the Netanyahu faction. Like it's not like there, as we read, there are plenty of Israelis who think he's full of shit. The problem is the Israeli people are being hijacked by their government. They can't even do criminal prosecutions on Netanyahu because he says, "Sorry, I need to focus on a war." So it's just unfair to like also to the Israeli people, like as if they're not also being hijacked.
Well, no, but I mean, it's like, yeah, I don't think this is Israeli people. I think it's Israeli government in the same way that is like the American government's shit.
Yeah, it's like
The Israeli government's shit.
yeah, the government is like shit, and it's like not all Israeli people or think that this is okay. There's clearly resistance. There's clearly left wing newspapers who said this is wrong. We asked them about these things. We told them like these things are wrong. We wanted investigations. They were blocked. They were subverted. It's like all I'm saying is like like we have two groups of people who are both being hijacked by powers that seek to manipulate them for their own intents for their own intentions and purposes.
Yeah.
And they do prey on certain things. They do prey on, oh, Israel attacked us. Hamas says, I'll fight back for you. And they tell people that this is the better solution instead of negotiating with the other party and making like a peace in the union as a whole. The same way in Israel, like, hey, we should really stop this. Like, this is bad. Our people are dying here too. Like, no, we're going to prey on your fear and whatever. And we're just going to fund the terrorist organization that is killing we're going to fund the very terrorist organization that is killing you so that you're perpetually dependent on everything that I do and I say and I tell you what's best for you.
Yep.
There can be no freedom of thought, no accountability when their governments cannot be held accountable, and when literal war and death is the consequence for not cooperating with their governments.
Yeah.
I mean, this is fucking horrible.
Yeah, well, so I think the order of operations is that what needs to happen first and foremost is that
The U.S. has to hold Israel accountable, or not Israel, but Netanyahu accountable and say, hey, stop fucking funding Hamas.
Yeah.
And then
we need a new more left-wing government in Israel that's able to say, okay, we're not gonna break our fucking ceasefire deal and kill more people such that we radicalize a whole new group of people. So that we
if the U.S. start, you know what, the U.S. should support that other government in Israel. I mean, in Palestine.
The Palestinian Authority.
Yeah,
I think that they're like
which
they're
they did.
long gone now, pretty much.
No, they still exist. It said they still exist in the other region, in the other part.
Well, yeah, they exist in the West Bank, but the West Bank and Gaza are completely separate entities at this point.
Yeah,
Because
that's
they're
true.
separated by Israel's fucking incursion onto both areas.
Yeah, because I think the U.S. definitely has to stop or like hold. But see, it doesn't even matter because we told them to stop doing it and they just kept doing it. So it's like Israel's kind of like
That was our red line. No, it's not.
Israel's kind of like us in a way. We taught them how to like do shit and get away with it, and now they're doing shit and getting away with it. They're just doing what the U.S. does. Like, hey, you guys aren't supposed to do that.
We also really didn't want them to stop necessarily because yet again we benefit from them doing this because
Of course.
Lockheed Martin and shit.
Well, yeah, we benefit. Yeah, I mean, of course.
We're selling missiles to both sides pretty much.
And it's also great propaganda to distract Americans with the problems they're facing at home with the conflict abroad that is being that it's a controlled opposition. It's a controlled problem. It's not even a real issue. It's or like a natural occurring issue. It's a completely intentionally caused war. what does it do? It distracts Americans, allow Americans to lose more money in their taxpayer dollars and forget about their own problems they're facing at home with wages and job insecurity and so forth and failing infrastructure. Americans don't think about their own problems when they're concerned with some bullshit war that's happening across the world.
Yeah.
And that's what pisses me off. Is like, as Americans, our needs are never being addressed because of all these bullshit conflicts that aren't and I'd reckon that a lot of these conflicts are all intentionally prolonged, intentionally, they're just subversive and deceptive conflicts that just detract and distract, while this war in Israel is happening, we're deporting everybody and, we're taking away people's citizenship rights and they don't even know it. It's being taken under them. Well, people know it, but I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like,
What are you gonna do about it?
yeah, okay, you got here's more
What are you gonna do?
circus.
Protest? Oh,
Here.
sorry, you don't have the First Amendment.
Here's a stimulus check so you don't realize your constitutional rights are being taken from under you.
Yeah.
Right? It's fucking annoying.
Nor will Gazans be easily reconciled to the restoration of a corrupt Palestinian Authority, especially when seen as being riding back to power on an Israeli tank. Oh, it's already lost most of its legitimacy and credibility on the street in the West Bank. There haven't been elections in 16 years, so they don't have the ability to govern even in the West Bank. So why would anyone think they have the ability to govern Gaza? Yeah, the current Palestinian Authority and its leadership are at a dead end.
This is an important sentence.
Yep.
But in my opinion, Israel is not interested in the Palestinian government of Gaza. Yeah, no shit, we know that. I mean, that's clear. we know. Well, it's not Israel, but particularly Netanyahu and his faction. But yeah, it's like you have the Donald Trump MAGA crowd, and they're in power. People think, oh, Americans want this, but it's like, well, no, there are plenty of Americans who don't want this. Also,
Well, you should find the statistics on this, the degree to which Netanyahu and his party are supported by the people.
okay. So
I mean, to an extent, more than 50% of our nation or whatever voted.
So
for
what should
Trump.
what should I type in? What?
Polling data on
Yeah, polling data.
Israel elections. It's a new high.
This is unfavorable, right?
Yes, it's unfavorable.
So 58% unfavorable.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah. So does Trump has a very similar.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, sure, you have 60% who
But
said.
let's not look at public approval ratings, but also let's look at the voting data or whatever. How did he win the election? How did this party come into power in the first place?
How did Netanyahu's party come to power?
Yeah, I mean, look at the last election, prime minister election, and compare the results of the minister. I don't think this is gonna give you any numbers.
You don't think so?
Maybe.
The outcome was a surprise win for Netanyahu after election. Okay. Oh, there's a number. Labor won more votes than 27%, and thus Netanyahu, despite his theoretical position of power, needed the support of religious parties to form a viable government. He failed to hold the government. Oh, this is in '99. You're right.
Yeah. 2003 and onward. Go up.
You're right. Maybe I should. Oh, I was just gonna
Oh, okay. Yeah. Whatever.
find a new one. Maybe I need to Google something more specific. What do you want to see exactly, Cameron? You want to see what was his
The election results of the most recent election.
Sally's birthday was yesterday, right, Cameron?
It was.
Yeah, so I thought.
Why?
Oh, sorry, I was distracted. Well, sorry, we're looking at what were the election results of the prior election in Israel?
Yeah, most recent election results. Israel. Yeah.
You know, you think it'd show me something more recent, and here we are in fucking 1949. Come on.
Yeah.
Google sucks. The problem is I don't know when their last like the year was, so I can't narrow it down. Maybe here.
Probably 2022, but you might as well just yeah, 2022. Winning party, the Likud party. That's his party. All right.
Israeli political alignment. So it's an alignment between the nationalist populist Harut party and the centrist liberal party, plus several smaller parties. Here are the leaders: Netanyahu, Ariel Sharon, Yitzhak Shamir, Menachem Begin. Oh wait, no. Why does it say 73-83? Oh, are they still leaders? Oh, maybe they're. I don't know what that means.
Oh, this is the leadership since 1973, and Netanyahu is currently the only guy, 93 to 99, and then 2005 to present.
Oh, so he's the only guy who's left.
Yeah, because these are all like this is like who was the president at the time. Like if we were doing a list of Republican Party leaders.
Oh, I
Party.
see. Yeah, yeah. He was the first one in 73, and then the second in 83 and 99. And Yahoo won in 05, and he hasn't lost since.
Like Michael Jordan of winning.
He's been president for 20 years. That's a crazy thing. Okay, not president, but prime minister. So
a party needs to win 61 seats in the election to secure a majority.
Yeah, so that means you have to cooperate with other people, right?
Yeah, so his party itself won 32. So if 61 is the majority, 32 is half of that. So they've won 25% of the vote.
Yeah. At least 112 different political parties have been represented in Knesset. Well, they seem to have a good type of government, but...
Yeah, it seems like Germany's to an extent.
Yeah, it may even be better than Germany's, like, in terms of the diversity of parties.
You don't even have that many people. How are you going to have that much fucking...
But see, it's easier to be Democrat. Well, I guess maybe not. Maybe not.
I'm just wondering, like, how does this party keep winning if, like, you know, like what part of the constituency like fucks them like that, you know?
Yeah. This is gonna be funny. Who kept voting Netanyahu in? Here's how they won by a knockout.
The Times of Israel.
Turnout was up overall, but most of all among Haredim, and while he has optimized his block to beat the threshold, his opponents emphatically did not. I think
that's our guy. I know that
guy. After 4 years of continuous campaigning, finally the election has ended in a knockout. Coalition negotiations are yet to formally begin. Okay. Much has been written about the election. Instead, we have done throughout the campaign. We'll focus on data, answering two questions. What happened to shift a very close election to a blowout? Okay. The polling was neck and neck. Netanyahu and anti-Netanyahu blocks hovering around the 60-seat mark. In our Friday pre-election column, we know that two things could change this and create a markedly different result. Differential turnout and the threshold. That's exactly how it played out. Simply put, differential turnout secured the victory for Netanyahu's bloc, and the threshold ensured the relatively wide margin. What's differential turnout mean?
I'm going to tell you. But I'm sure they're about to tell you.
I think you're right, Cam. This was never going to be a persuasion-based... Okay. Large numbers of voters to switch sides always looked unlikely. Much of the campaign was about generating differential turnout. Okay, you're going to tell me what that means?
Oh, I see.
Mobilizing the persuaded rather than convincing.
That's the same issue with like Kamala Harris or whatever.
Yeah, same thing here, right?
Yeah. Nobody's going to switch sides. But
you mobilize the people who are already going to vote for Trump rather than trying to... But see, Kamala tried to persuade, right? And maybe that's why you could argue she lost, was that she wasn't mobilizing the people who would vote for her. She was just trying to get... Yeah.
Yeah, the
She got
barrel.
scared with how many people she thought Trump was mobilizing. She wanted that pie. Bringing more supporters to the polls than the other side could. The first thing to note is the turnout actually went up 67% and 20. Wow, 71% voter turnout.
Crazy.
That's pretty fucking high.
Yeah.
It's quite remarkable that the Israeli public response to the election was actually go to vote in greater numbers. So I'm saying Israel seems to have like a good type of government. Their people show up. They clearly think voting's important. They have tons of parties.
They want this.
Maybe. What is more significant, though, is who went to vote in greater numbers and who did not. Center and left-leaning cities in the center of the country, such as Tel Aviv and Sarba, okay, they saw turnout figures virtually unchanged. So the left and the center didn't go out to vote. In contrast, cities that leaned rightward, such as Beersheba, Jerusalem, Ashkelon, Ashdod, Tiberias, Kiryat Yafula, all saw turnout rates increase between 3 and 7 percentage points.
Hey, you know that guy? Who's that guy?
This guy?
The guy raising his hand. Yeah, that's him.
Yeah, I know that guy.
That's my friend.
Yeah, he's a silly guy.
Ben Beer gestures to supporters.
It's not a Hitler salute.
Surely.
That
Just
wouldn't
wave.
that wouldn't make sense.
Well,
The 4 percentage point increase in turnout came largely from areas that lean right, kind of like our country's election, right? Looking at the raw vote figures for the finally the data. This is what you were looking for. 2.2 million Israelis cast their votes for parties opposed to Netanyahu, as opposed to 2.13 pro-Netanyahu parties. This time, while the non-Bibi bloc grew its vote by 5% to 2.3. Oh, Bibi, yeah, Bibi is short for Benjamin, right? Yeah, Bibi.
11%. His block grew. He got his block up.
He
bro.
grew his block up by 11% to 2.36 million. Then Yahoo added 230,000 votes to his block from the previous round, while the other side only added half as many. So it's not like the other side didn't I mean, so what? It's oh wait, there's a graph.
Oh, there's a graph. Hello, graph.
Hello, graph. Okay. What am I looking at? Percent.
Why is Arab its own thing?
What do you mean? Oh, because they're Arab. They're not Jewish.
What does that mean?
Maybe I think this is its own party.
That doesn't make sense.
I think the Arabs have their own party. Wait, but if you're Arab, wait.
I don't know how this shit works.
Whatever, we'll come back to this Arab thing. But we're looking at the percent of change in votes. Haredim, 19% change, 35% change in Arab vote, 8% in 8. And then look, the people who are anti-Bibi was only a 5% change. So people who were pro-Benjamin was 11, assumedly the right.
Percent change in votes. I wonder what the Arab change vote for 35% was.
I don't even know what is the Arab vote mean.
Yeah.
On the right, the biggest shift was the turnout among the Haredi party ministry. Okay.
Like, I just don't understand why, like, center left and Arab are are like being measured on the same axis of thing. It's not like it's not like in America. Oh, we got the black vote, the white vote, whatever. No, it's just like, oh, you're center
Arab.
left, or you're Arab. Oh, okay, I guess.
Yeah, doesn't get worse than that in Israel. Saw a 1% decrease in their number of votes despite the enlarged electorate. After weeks of talks about Arab turnout, in the end, the Arab citizens. Oh, so they are the Arab citizens. Yeah.
Arab parties.
Yeah, with the vote for Arab parties. So the Arab parties really voted for Netanyahu then.
Wait, no. That's not what that said.
With the vote with the vote for Arab parties increasing by 35%. Wait, vote for them. Like, is it saying vote for them, like giving them?
Yeah, so more people, like, a lot of Arabs just didn't vote before, and 35% increase to the Arab parties after that.
In total, Netanyahu's bloc was very narrowly won the popular vote. A heavily disputed and questionable concept in this context, but interesting nonetheless. So his bloc barely won, I guess. Here's the popular vote.
Yeah.
Victory margin for pro-anti-Netanyahu bloc in the past 5 elections. Towards Bibi, towards anti-BB. Like in 2019.
Oh, this is going the other. Yeah, I didn't notice what direction this was looking.
Yeah.
It's going up, not down.
Cameron. This is going up. Yep, it's going up, buddy. Narrow 30,000 vote victory explains how his block would have reached 61. It does not explain his significant majority. For that, we need to look at the threshold. He built his block in an optimal way. 4 parties, each with a surplus vote sharing agreement with one other smaller party that he attacked mercilessly to ensure he had hardly got enough votes to matter. In total, his block wasted around 56,000 votes. Wow, 56,000 votes is about 1.5 seats.
That's interesting.
On the other side, the situation was different. 4 parties hovering just above the threshold and another just below. There was always a strong chance for wasted votes that could prove costly. In the end, Meretz, the veteran left-wing party, fell 4,000 votes short, while the Labour just about crossed. The outcome meant that despite 2 left-wing parties winning enough votes for 8 seats, they ended up with just 4.
I don't understand that.
Well, so they do some kind of threshold where I think you have to reach a certain point to get a vote. And if you don't hit that threshold, then you don't get any of the votes.
How is it like it would have been 4? I mean, they would have got 8 seats, but because they missed the threshold by a little bit, by 4,000 votes, they ended up with just 4 seats.
4 parties hovering just above the threshold and another just below. Okay, there was a strong chance for there was always a strong chance for wasted voters. In the end, Meretz, okay, the veteran left-wing party, fell 4,000 votes short of the threshold. Okay, so if you don't hit the threshold, you obviously lose
4 seats. Is 1,000 persons?
Well, if
no, that's not how that works.
Well, no. 4,000 votes short of the threshold while Labour crossed. Okay. Okay, so there's 4 parties in total. One of them didn't make it past the threshold. And then the other one barely.
5 parties in total. With 4 parties hovering just above the threshold and another just below.
Yeah.
Yeah, so because they... Oh, so they would have had 5... Wait, I don't know how that goes from 8 seats to 4 seats.
Because 2 lost. Divided by 2, because 2 parties didn't do shit.
I see.
The outcome meant that despite 2 left-wing parties, so they won enough. So 2 won enough for. Okay, so 2 of the left-wing parties won enough for 8 seats. 2 left-wing parties won enough for 8 seats, but because the other 2 in the block did so fucking bad, they only ended up with 4. Because I don't. It's not like winner gets all. I think they separate the. They divide it. Like your block, like you have to have a coalition. And essentially everybody in your coalition, I think, has to hit a certain threshold for you to get the maximum amount of those votes.
Wow. Anyway.
This is true. So, yeah, did this address your questions?
I mean, I guess it was close, but not... No, it wasn't close. I mean, it was close, but not close.
Yeah, essentially it was close, but not close.
In the same way that like our government, like our elections were close, but not close.
Yeah. With 2 big parties competing to be the biggest, voters tend to get drawn from smaller parties at the last minute. While Meretz crossed the threshold in every poll over the past 2 months, this dynamic meant that its falling underneath should not be okay. The other party not to cross the threshold was the Arab Balad party, which ended with just 2.9% or 15,000 votes short. This meant that while Arab parties won a combined 511,000 votes, virtually the same as religious Zionism, they ended up with just 10 seats. Yeah, okay, I get it now. Yeah, so in total, the Arab parties won 511. But it's because it's just 1 or 2 parties in the Arab parties who are winning everything. And the others aren't crossing. The other ones don't get the votes. Your block as a whole doesn't get the vote. Because your block as a whole weren't balling. Only 2 guys on your team were getting kills, bro. We got 2 bottom frags not doing shit. Ultimately, yeah.
You and Hamzy.
Yeah, bro. You and Hamzy ain't doing shit, bro. And that's why we lost the game, dog. We could have had it all. Yeah, so big Arab voter turnout, but not
Not in
not
the way that mattered.
not in a way that mattered. Yeah. In total, the NTP block was 289,000 votes.
This wouldn't happen if we had ranked choice voting. By the way,
What?
like that type of shit wouldn't happen if they had ranked choice voting. Like the Arab parties that didn't reach the threshold, if they were able to like say I want this party for my number one, this party for my number two. So if they didn't reach the threshold, all their votes would go to to their second place vote. And so like, say Arab party number one is the threshold's 5 votes or whatever. And one of the 5 people who voted for Arab Party A would have voted for Arab Party B, and they put them as their second choice. They would have got their vote would have gone. So, like for example, like their vote would not have counted for nothing at that point because, as it currently stands, if they don't reach the threshold, your vote kind of just goes away.
Right.
But if you did ranked choice voting, it would be that okay, my party didn't reach the proper thresholds, so my vote is now going to go to Arab Party number 2 or Arab Party number 3, and so like. Depending on which order I put it in, until they reach the threshold, they
Wait,
they won't get any
I'm confused because, like okay, like let's say we had ranked choice voting in the United States, right? You would say, okay, if you were a Democrat, you would vote like your first vote would be I want, Kamala Harris, and then your number 2 is maybe Jill Stein or something, and then how many ranks do you get, and at what point does the rank stop mattering?
I mean, it depends on each system, but sometimes it's 5, sometimes it's until you're done. Like so, like it just goes.
And
all
so
the way
what
down.
happens? So basically, if your number 1 doesn't win, then your vote gets counted instead as a number 2.
Mm-hmm.
And if your number 2 doesn't win,
It's got a number 3. Yeah.
And then it goes to your number 3. And if your 3 doesn't win, then it goes. So basically, it makes sure that at least one party you like gets representation.
Yeah. And so if they had ranked.
So therefore, that solves the problem of wasting votes, essentially, which happens. That solves the problem of a wasted vote because no matter what, you at least are getting your interest represented in one way or the other, albeit in different party representation forms. It's still your vote still means something.
Yeah. So for example, if we had this in 2020, I could have put Bernie Sanders my number 1, Biden number 2, comma 3, whatever, and then like, if Bernie doesn't win, okay, Bernie doesn't get the fucking vote. But now I don't have to worry about like my vote being worth nothing because it went to Bernie as opposed to Biden.
Wait, so how does that? Yeah, and so what? You just take the total, like let's say there's 10 people who live in the United States. If 8 people voted for, let's say, well, no, I guess that's too small of a population.
I mean, you could look at there's a cool CPG Gray video on it.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, about ranked choice voting. I watched it for my government class in AP US APUSH.
I don't want to get I don't want to get copyright striked.
You get copyright strike if you watch it and add commentary. That doesn't happen.
You're right. Shall we go on YouTube then? See it?
Sure, I look at it. Yeah, exploring ranked choice voting, a section with Cameron and Brandon.
Okay. Oh wait, hold on. Let me turn off the display capture real quick. Actually, that's fine. Voiting.
Waiting.
I'm voiting. Yeah. I'm jumping now. Yes. Ah! I'm voiting. And you said it was by who was it?
CPG Gray. Yeah.
This one?
Yeah, it's a short video.
I don't have an attention span longer than 20 seconds.
Queen Lion of the Animal Kingdom is displeased.
Wait.
Queen Lion of the Animal Kingdom is displeased. She recently introduced elections for the office of king using the first-past-the-post voting system. While her realm started out as a healthy democracy with many parties running candidates for king, it quickly devolved into two-party rule, with the citizens not liking either one, but trapped within the system because of a problem called the spoiler effect. However, one of Queen Lion's subjects from a distant land, Wallaby, has a solution:
Spoilers.
The alternative vote. What's the difference? To find out, let's follow one voter on election day, Red Squirrel, under both systems. There are 5 candidates running for king, 2 members of the big parties, Gorilla and Leopard, and 3 other candidates, Turtle, Owl, and Tiger. Under first past the post, Red Squirrel gets a ballot where he picks just one candidate. Red Squirrel really likes Turtle, and even campaigned for him. However, he knows that his new neighbor, Gray Squirrel, is voting Gorilla. And what, starts to wonder Red Squirrel, About all the other animals, who are they going to vote for? The debates on the Animal News Network only had the big parties, so Red Squirrel thinks it's going to be a close race between gorilla and
Animal
leopard.
News Network.
While he's indifferent toward gorilla, he's deathly afraid of leopard. Because he can only pick a single candidate, he gives his one vote to gorilla in hopes of preventing leopard from becoming king. This is strategic voting.
Cameron voted for Camillus to prevent Donald Trump from winning.
It's a necessity under first past the post.
Yep.
But now let's look at the alternative vote, which Wallaby explains to Red Squirrel. Instead of picking one and only one candidate, he can rank them in order of his most favorite to his least. He goes into the voting booth and gets the same ballot as before, but now puts turtle as his first choice, owl as his second, and gorilla as his third. He dislikes leopard and tiger equally, so he stops filling in his ballot and drops it in the box. At this point, Red Squirrel doesn't care exactly what happens. He has other things on his mind and he heads off. But you, dear citizen, want to know how the votes are counted. So here goes. Turtle, beloved though he is with some of the citizenry, comes in last place with only 5%, and he is eliminated from the race. Because the voters rank their candidates in order, we can know what would have happened if Turtle didn't run. Without Turtle, voters like Red Squirrel would have picked Owl instead, so their votes are transferred to her, as though Turtle was never in the race at all. This is why the alternative vote is sometimes called instant runoff vote, though Turtle was never. Voters like Red Squirrel would have picked in order with only 5%, and he is eliminated from the race. Beloved dear citizen, want to know how the votes are counted, so here goes. Turtle, beloved though he is with some of the citizenry, comes in last place with only 5%, and he is eliminated from the race. Because the voters rank their candidates in order, we can know what would have happened if Turtle didn't run. Without Turtle, voters like Red Squirrel would have picked Owl instead, so their votes are transferred to her, as though Turtle was never.
But this is not actually like a singular, unified event. You know, like it's every person's vote gets transferred in a different way. But this is just like for simplification's sake, I think.
Yeah, I'm just confused at why it's going to Owl.
Well, it's going to Owl because Red Squirrel put Owl.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay. So it's just so basically. But what I'm saying is, so they take the total percentage of people who put number one for Turtle. Mm-hmm. And if he had only 5%,
no, it's not the total percent. I mean, this is for the example they're doing that, I think. But like generally speaking, it's Red Squirrel's vote in particular is going to Owl, and say Gray Squirrel had voted for Gorilla as their second choice. The Gray Squirrel's vote would have gone to the Gorilla instead, and so everybody's vote gets divvied up to their second choice. So whatever constituency of Turtle wanted to go to Owl goes to Owl, and whichever wanted to go to Gorilla as their second choice goes to Gorilla.
Wait, so does that 5% get added directly onto Owl? So like,
for every person who voted Owl as their second choice, yeah.
Which would be all of the 5% who voted in this scenario.
Yeah. So like let's assume like in our world, like, you know, Bernie Sanders. If you don't like Bernie Sanders, you know, your second choice is Jill Stein or whatever. Like pretty much if you like these things are pretty consistent. You know, if you like Bernie Sanders, you're likely to like Jill Stein. And you're
probably.
Likely to like,
yeah.
But it's not that all of those people's votes are going to be like that. Because like for example, my second place vote could have been like
you could have
Andrew Yang or some shit.
Yeah, you could have put Andrew Yang or something, or RFK or something.
Yeah, and so my vote would have gone Bernie Sanders. Okay, Bernie Sanders doesn't get the majority. Okay, my second vote is Andrew Yang. So mine goes to Andrew Yang, and yours goes to RFK.
Right.
But yeah, so for the simplification of this, they just said, okay, all Turtle voters go to Owl instead, I think. Cool.
For now.
In the race at all.
All right, let's go.
This is why the alternative vote is sometimes called instant runoff voting. It's able to simulate a bunch of elections where the least popular candidate is eliminated after each round, without all the time and expense it would take to run a bunch of campaigns one after another. The alternative vote method keeps eliminating the least popular candidate until someone either wins a majority or only one is left. As no one has a majority yet, the next lowest candidate, Tiger, is eliminated. Tiger voters listed Leopard as their second choice, so she gets Tiger's vote. In the last round, Gorilla is eliminated. Gorilla voters listed Owl as their second choice, so Owl gets those votes, wins a majority, and is crowned king. The alternative vote is a better system because it produces winners that a larger number of voters can agree on. While the alternative vote does have its flaws, it's important to note that any problem AV has, first past the post also shares. They're both susceptible to gerrymandering, they aren't proportional systems, they can't guarantee a Condorcet winner, which math geeks hate but there isn't time to explain here, and over time they both trend towards two parties. That being said, alternative vote has a huge advantage that first past the post lacks and makes it mathematically superior. No spoiler effect. Imagine one final election. Two big candidates are running, Gorilla and Leopard looks set to win 55 to 45. But then a third-party candidate, Tiger, enters. Tiger manages to convince 15% of the Leopard voters to back him instead. Under first past the post, Guerrilla now wins, even though a majority of the voters didn't want him. Under the alternative vote, because all Tiger voters put Leopard as a second choice, Leopard still wins because a majority of the citizens of the animal kingdom would rather have her in charge than Guerrilla. Using the alternative vote, citizens can help support and grow smaller parties that they agree with, without worrying that they'll put someone they don't like into office. After examining the differences between them, Queen Lion decrees that the alternative vote is to be the rule of the land for electing the king, and everyone is happier. Well, almost everyone.
Let's go.
The two big parties can't be as complacent as they used to be, and need to campaign much harder to convince their voters to support them. This has been the alternative vote, explained by me, CGP Grey. Thank you very much for watching.
Wow.
So yeah. Anyway, I think that like if Israel had a alternative vote system in that way, that would have changed the election results in that regard, at least, or at least that's my understanding of it. I don't understand. I'm not
You're
sure that they're
fucking
not that.
ignorant, buddy.
You're right. That's what it seems like, at least. I don't know if asking about his governmental structure is going to be the, because that's asking like, oh, is there a Supreme Court, an executive branch,
Oh,
and
yeah, you're
legislative
right.
branch? Does Israel use first past the post voting? Okay.
This should be good, right?
Oh, this site was made in 2004.
Then you know it's exempt from any kind of bullshit.
Well,
Israel has an electoral system based on nationwide proportional representation, and the number of seats which every list receives in the Knesset is proportional to the number of voters who vote for it.
the only limitation is that 1.5% of qualifying threshold.
It is a
In other
1.5%.
words, a party
Okay.
must receive at least 1.5% of the vote in order to be elected.
Okay, that's okay. The voters can vote for a party list. So you can vote. So it is ranked choice. You can vote for a party list. Like you just, but the only difference is it's a ranked choice, but in a like in a block.
Wait, where's it say the list?
The voters vote for a party list, and that makes sense because we were reading
No,
about.
no. The voters vote for a party list, but not a particular person on the vote. That,
I-
that is first past.
No,
So
no,
that means
but,
that like you vote for the whole party, as opposed to like in our system, like I can vote for president to be Donald Trump, but also vote for the representative to be AOC, for example. So like, I don't
right.
have to go all the way down the line and say, all right, I'm a Republican all the way
Exactly.
through, or a Democrat all the way through. But this one, it does.
Yeah, well, because but you choose the list.
Yeah, you choose the list, but it's not like I say, okay, Donald Trump's my first choice, then Kamala Harris, then RFK, then it's I choose a whole list of.
It would be
people that
like you
represent-
saying I choose the DNC, the Green Party, and the
But no, you don't choose a list. You're not choosing a list of lists. You're choosing a singular list. That is like I am voting singularly for the Democratic Party all the way down my docket, no matter what. That's what this list is saying. According to this system, the voters vote for a party list and not for a particular person on the list. So the list in reference to is a party list in particular. And that party list is not a list of party lists that you get to rank choice. It is a singular party list that consists of Benjamin Netanyahu and Ben Gaviv and all the other people that are on that list. Not as a ranked choice, but he's my party leader. Ben Gaviv is the national security head. This person's that person, my representative in the legislative branch, and that. Or at least that's what it seems like to me. It does not seem like it's that other thing. That makes sense? No.
No.
And you're an idiot.
You're an idiot. Bye.
So, yeah, what this is saying is you're only voting for the Democratic Party, and it doesn't matter whether you want your representative to be a Democrat or a Republican. You're just going to get the the Democratic representation. If you vote for a Democrat in your presidential election, you're getting a Democratic representative as well.
Okay, so maybe we shouldn't have used a 2004.
Oh, the threshold's currently set at 3 point something as opposed to 1.
Well, that was in 2004. That I guess it was one. And
Yeah. Okay.
in all fairness,
How do they determine that?
I don't fucking know. That's a good question, though.
Just random shit? Do they just say, oh yeah, well, you have to have 3.25? Okay, thanks.
With the okay,
That seems fucking weird, right?
the electoral threshold is 3.25.
Yeah.
With the
and
number of
electoral
seats a
threshold-
party receives being proportional to the number of votes it receives.
Yeah,
So
but
the
it has to
number,
reset,
okay, so the number of seats is in fact proportional to the number of votes,
which is good.
which is different than it is here.
Yes,
Yes. Okay. So it is more democratic
in a sense.
in a sense. The Knesset is elected for a 4-year term, although most governments have not served a full term, and early elections are a frequent occurrence. So early elections can happen also.
Yeah, I mean, because oftentimes they do some corruption shit and they get in trouble,
At least they are getting in trouble.
being held accountable or whatever.
Yeah, but like this is good. Like if someone has a term but you can still boot them out before that, that's good.
Yeah.
Israel has a multi-party system based on coalition governments, as no party has ever won a majority of seats in a national election. Although the alignment briefly held the majority following its formation by an alliance of several different parties prior to 1969, suffrage is universal to all Israeli citizens above the age of 18. Israeli citizens living abroad have to travel to Israel in order to vote. Voting booths are made available. Okay, elections are overseen by their committee. Cool. Israel was ranked 47th most electorally democratic country in the world and the most electorally democratic country in the Middle East, according to VDEM Democracy Indices in 2023.
All right, cool.
Cool.
So okay, wait. So here's what I'm saying and what I think is happening here. Yeah, Israel uses a closed list method of party list proportional representation. Thus, citizens vote for the preferred party and not for any individual candidate.
Yes.
The 120 seats of the Knesset are then assigned proportionally to each party, provided that the party vote count met the 3.25 election threshold. But see, and that's the part that I find fucked is they have to meet that threshold, or else those votes don't count. Remember, because like that was why like the Arab vote was so fucked, was that a lot of those parties, despite the fact that they got like 55,000 votes or whatever, some of those parties didn't reach the threshold, and so like because they were bottom fragging,
You're bottom fragging, bro.
because they didn't actually pull their weight and they didn't reach the threshold, all those votes just get thrown away.
Yeah, they're wasted.
Yeah, those are wasted.
Yeah, we
votes.
knew that. Yeah. No, for sure they're getting
So
wasted.
it's-
Yeah.
And so if they had the method that I was talking about, the ranked choice voting, then their votes could have gone to the second Arab party or the third Arab party, and then those parties, if they never made a actual dent, the other party would have made a dent, and then they would have got enough representation or more representation than they actually end up getting because they're not dividing their vote between people who don't actually end up on the party because they don't reach the threshold.
Yeah, the alliance as a whole must meet the threshold, not the individual parties. The relatively low threshold makes representation of minor parties more likely under the Israeli electoral system than many comparable systems used in other countries. Two parties can make an agreement so that both parties' sum of surplus votes are combined. And if the combined surplus votes amounts to an extra seat, the extra seat goes to the party with the greater number of surplus votes.
Oh, so they can do it.
Yes.
So why didn't they do it?
Because they have to form a
Coalition.
yeah. They have to, it said that where is it? Oh, like yeah. They can run as a single unified party.
But that seems still problematic because that now leaves it up to the representatives rather than like the people who wanted their votes to be determined in a different way. Which is kind of the problem in like German electoral politics as well.
What?
Sort of is that like a lot of the time like the liberal party of the German people who like, so for example, imagine that you're a Green Party voter like Adrian,
Mm-hmm.
and or a Labor Party voter or whatever, you're more left wing. If the Liberal Party doesn't play ball with you guys a lot of the time, they won't get like the coalition they need to actually run the government. So they do a lot of the time. But for example, like this, like the Liberal Party could in fact actually side with like the Libertarian Party or the Christian Party or whatever other parties there are, and that choice would not be based on the fact that the people who voted for the left wing party would have voted for, like if we were using ranked choice voting instead, for example, if the Labor Party didn't work, rather than having a coalition with the Labor Party, the CDU, which is the Liberal Party, would have gotten my vote, But some people who vote for the Labour Party might have actually gone to the Green vote. Anyway, all I'm trying to say is that like this kind of like coalition building leaves the working together of parties to the parties themselves rather than to what the voters want those parties to do.
Hmm.
Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
Well, yeah. I mean, okay, because like when you vote for a party, you're voting for a party because you think the party represents your interests.
Traditionally.
And in order to have more, like in Germany, they also have coalitions, right? So, like the Christian Democratic Party has to team up with somebody else in Germany, right?
Oftentimes, because yeah, they might.
Is
get a
it
lot of
possible to have all of it in Germany, like just one party?
I mean, if they win like a majority, if they win 50%, then they don't need to build a coalition, and then they can be like the one party. Of course, the other party.
Oh, so that's what it was saying here. That's what it was saying here with the Israel thing.
Yeah.
That if they can get all that, then they don't even need to.
But yeah, and so the problem is that like, this is kind of like the Kamala Harris problem. Is that like, Kamala Harris chose to side with like the moderate group. So say that there were actually like different parties, for example, I would be like.
It'd be the moderate party, let's say.
Yeah, there's the Democrats or the center party, let's just say. There's a center right party that's like the original Republican Party, and then there's the Tea Party that like Trump has.
Right.
Kamala Harris, rather than siding with the left wing government, like the left wing parties that my vote would be going to, she was working with like the original Republican Party, the Liz Cheneys of the world.
Right.
And that would be left up to the parties rather than to my vote going to Kamala Harris instead by virtue of the fact that I.
She thought she was appealing to reasonable Republicans in quotes like this.
Yeah. The good old Republicans like Liz Cheney.
Yeah, like Liz Cheney.
Our favorite.
What a doll that Liz is.
We love Liz here.
We love Liz.
Love Liz.
Yeah, I mean, cause. Yeah, I see. The issue is that like. Okay, assuming it's obviously it seems quite unlikely that one party really does just dominate, like in Germany or in Israel. It's rarely the case that one party is just that dominant. So if that's the case, is it that you need at least two parties to equal 50%, or three, or
well, you have to get as many parties. You can get as many parties as you need
until you reach what threshold though? The majority?
51%. Yeah.
So so like let's say you have 30%. Okay, that means you need to gather at least 21 more percent. You have to gather votes of parties that have garnered at least 21 additional votes.
Yeah, and so then you can get that from either building a coalition with people to the right.
And so I could I could be like, hey Cameron, like you have 10%. Would you like to make my 41? Sure, Brandon, I'll join you. And then we go like, oh hey, like. Like moderate Republicans or something. Hey, would you like to make the final 10%? Okay, sure. So now we have a government that's like comprised of me at 30, you at 10, and then this other party at 10. So then who gets?
You're gonna have the most representative seats. You're gonna have the prime minister, but you're gonna have.
But I'll have to work with you because you can gridlock me, even though I chose to bring you in. You can still gridlock me if I do some shit you don't like. Same way the other party can still gridlock me.
Yeah, you have to work with me now.
And so this is bad because.
And the reason I think that it's bad is because I think that it leaves up to the parties what should be left up to the people's votes.
What do you mean by that?
So rather than like, the parties choosing who they want to go with, whether they want to choose the left wing party to work with or the right wing party to work with, say the center party or whatever.
Oh, you're saying that
up to the party, I should be able to vote like, okay, I want the Labor vote. Okay, the Labor vote doesn't win. I want the Green vote. Oh, the Green vote didn't win. Okay, then I'll take the fucking CDU, and then they get a majority by virtue of the fact that my vote.
So you're saying that people should have. Okay, so yeah, it's like they should have their ranked choice. Like number one would be the Christian Democrat Party. Let's say that's number one. And then you're saying there should be like a clause on the ballot that says that you also want like another ranked hierarchy of like you also want them to work with a certain list?
Well, I'm not saying I want them to work with a certain list. I'm saying that I mean, I guess I guess so.
That is kind of what you're saying. You're suggesting that it needs to be left up to the person to decide who the party negotiates with to gain that extra vote. If you voted for the Christian National Party, but they ended up forming a coalition with another group you didn't want, you're saying you're upset by that. So you're saying that you want a say over who they even get to form coalitions with. But the issue is that what if the people you want or any of the parties you want don't have enough votes to even do anything. So your vote is negated by the virtue of the fact that the other parties don't have the percent popularity to even do. For me, I'm okay. I'm okay with the idea that the party can decide. Like,
No, wait, here's what I was actually saying, because I wasn't saying that I want two like different tracks. What I was saying is that I want a singular track. I want either the Labor Party to win in its entirety by its own merits,
or not at all.
Or not at all. No, but basically, yeah, I don't want them to work at all. Like, I want to be able to say I want my Labor Party vote, but then I want to be able to vote for the second party without being afraid that they're going to end up voting with working with the fascists. Like, I want.
But how do you do that?
Because I want to be able to say, like, okay, if my Labor Party vote doesn't work, then I'm going to the Green Party, and if the Green Party can get enough votes, then they don't have to cooperate with anybody. They're just going to be able to do their own party line without having to cooperate with anybody. But the thing is that the reason that rather than having to choose the Green Party and then they have to cooperate with somebody, I want to be able to just choose the Green Party as my second choice and say, okay, I wanted Bernie Sanders to vote. I wanted Bernie Sanders to win, but I guess I'm okay with Bill Clinton, with fucking Joe Biden. I'd rather have that than have it be the case that, like, Joe Biden now is going to work with fucking Liz Cheney and Bill.
So you're saying, like, okay, how does this play out though? Like, if we were in Germany. What would that look like? So you would vote, and you would put whatever I don't know who your party is in Germany, but Labor Party maybe.
The Labor Party.
You'd put the Labor Party number 1.
The Green Party number 2.
Green Party number 2, and then whatever. Let's say you just put 1 and 2. Maybe those are the only parties you care about.
Yeah.
Okay, and let's say the Labor Party wins. Labor Party has 40% of the vote. Let's say. Magically. It's a lot. Hold on. Okay, yeah, they have 40%. And so your number 2 was the Green Party. So you're saying that number 2 should be indicative of a coalition that the Labor Party would work with?
No, I'm saying that if Labor Party doesn't get the whole majority in the first place,
then you don't want it?
well then no, then the small like in the video, like the smallest party gets removed entirely, and the votes from the smallest party go until the Labor Party gets a majority by itself without having to build a coalition with somebody else.
But why would you? Well, why would you do that? Because that leaves out other people's votes.
Leaves out other people's votes?
Yeah, if they get just removed.
Well, they still get representation. It's just like this is like who's the prime minister and who's the head party and the leader party or whatever.
I'm just trying to understand. Like, here, let's go to Microsoft Paint.
Microsoft Paint.
Okay, so here's the Cameron vote card. Okay. Can you see it on the stream?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, the Cameron vote card. Number 1, your number 1 vote. You say Labor. Right? And then number 2, you say Green.
Green.
Okay. So, let's just say, maybe we could do 3. What's your third?
CDU.
Okay. Okay. So here's your vote card. Here's the Cam vote card. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, here's what ends up happening. Okay? And you break this down for me. Okay. So, out of all of Cam country, okay, the country of Cam, okay? This was 40. Okay. Green, we'll say was 5. CDU was 3. So only 48%, not even a majority on your list. Okay. So tell me what happens here.
So for me, my individual vote, nothing happens.
And
because I voted for the party that got more so. So say the CDU, well, the whole thing is we need to add this up to 100 and say that the smallest party, add 1 more party and make them have, well, not the rest of the vote. Add 2 more parties and make sure that they stay beneath the 51st.
Okay, okay, we'll just say like
AFD.
We'll just say the Republican Party. I know it doesn't exist, obviously. Okay. Oh fuck. That's not where the I should be. Whatever. It's all fucked. Okay. Anyways, so this needs to equal 100, right?
So this total needs to equal 100. Yeah.
Okay. So we're at 48, 49, 50, and then we'll say this is 50.
Okay. Well, now it's going to be interesting because we'd have a 50-50 vote. Because I was going to say, like, the example would be that all the people say that all the people who voted green.
Well, what
then
happened
say
in a 50-50 vote?
I don't know. I don't know how that shit works.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's the problem with it, right? Isn't that why you like need the coalitions?
Well, no, because the point was that I was trying to make was just that, like, all the people who voted Labor, their vote stays the same, unless it's the fact that, like, any one of these parties goes. So say the ADU joins the Republican Party, for example.
Yeah.
If the ADU joins the Republican Party, then the Republican Party wins the majority and they get the presidency or whatever.
Wait.
And that's it.
Wait. Sorry. Hold on. Say that again.
So if the ADU that has 2% of the vote
Yeah.
were to, like, say 1% goes to the Labor Party and 1% because so they're the smallest party, so we're gonna eliminate them, right? Given that nobody has a majority at the moment.
So they get eliminated. What does that mean exactly?
That now all those people's votes are going to be distributed to either
So
Labor
so
Party or the Green Party,
1%.
the CD, or
So
Republican.
their 2% needs to go somewhere in the rest of this pie.
Yes, and so say 0.5 voted for each of the different blocks, then we'd be left with 4 parties. Okay, but now we have to. Nobody's reached a majority yet, still. So we have to get rid of the CDU, and so the CDU is now going to go.
Yeah. So you're saying
that,
CDU didn't get anything of that 0.5 or of the split of the ADU?
Well, I was saying, okay, the ADU splits and 0.5 goes to everybody. So Labor, Green, CDU, and Republican all get 0.5% to add up to 2%. That 2% that was for the ADU.
Okay.
So now Labor's at 40.5, Green's at 5.5, CDU's at 3.5, and Republican at 50.5. Okay, just right, whatever.
Yeah.
So now let's say that nobody still has reached a majority because the Republicans, by having 50.5% or whatever, haven't technically. I don't know. I don't know what the fucking threshold for this shit is. I don't know whether it's 51% or whatever. But, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's so stupid.
It's just fucked up because you put the 50%.
I know. I didn't realize until after I created a fuckery.
But in any case, that's how I would like this to go. I don't want it to be the case that Labor says, okay, what I actually want to do is work with the Republican Party.
But like, it's very unlikely that Labor.
It's very unlikely that they would.
It's very unlikely that Labor is going to go all the way over here.
But for something like this, but say the CDU had more votes, because this is traditionally how it goes: is that the center party has the most votes, and so then it's like a distribution across those votes.
Oh, so 50, or so this should be like 30%, 35% CDU.
So yeah, say the CDU has the majority. It's like the CDU is the biggest party. The CDU, it could work with the Green Party because they're sort of left with respect to environmental stuff, but it could work on the right wing with the right wing party because they're also anti-immigration and austerity politics or whatever. So my vote I prefer for the CDU to just have its government without having to make concessions to the Republican Party or make concessions to the to the Green Party. I'd rather my vote just go straight to the lesser of two evils rather than have the fact that they could, in fact, coalition build with the worst side of the party that I didn't fuck with. So I'd rather it be the case that, okay, Labor only got 5% of the vote. Okay, sure.
But isn't
My
that
second vote.
okay? But the idea with like, I thought that the whole point of building a coalition, or like take the example of blocks that they have in Israel. Typically, the blocks will constitute parties that all have the same interest. If this is the Arab bloc, these are all going to be Arab parties that, yeah. These are all going to be Arab parties that have Arab interest in mind. The XY45 party. Like preset blocks.
No, there's not preset blocks. The Arab bloc that you were looking at was like the Arab voting base, I thought.
No, it said it was comprised of Arab parties. And the issue that we were having is that two of the parties in the bloc didn't hit the percent threshold, and so these votes didn't get negated while only these top two parties got representation.
Yeah, and that wouldn't be a case in the vote thing that I'm talking about, because theoretically, those people's votes would have gone to the other party, and those parties would have got more representation. But so now all thousands of those votes are just like thrown out the window.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is I would prefer not even to have that type of thing be a case necessarily, because the way that these blocks are I don't know whether this is the case in Israel or whatever, but in Germany the blocks are not like prearranged. The blocks are established by the party, like once they see what the distribution is like, and because of that, that means that they're going to work with certain people based on what's advantageous to them. So the CDU might never ever work with the fucking far right party or the far left party. That's just something they probably wouldn't do. But whether they work with the Green Party or the center right party is going to be very contingent on the interests of, one, the political body at the time, and two, like the voting policy, like the parity of votes that they need to receive to get a coalition that is majority. And I don't like the fact that the party would then be responsible for dictating which side they party.
So
side with.
what I'm struggling to understand, Cameron, is how are you dictating who they get to team up with, or not at all? Maybe you're saying, or are you saying that they don't need to team up?
What I'm trying to say is, yeah, I want my vote to only go to them, and they don't have to team with anybody. So if Labor Party doesn't get the majority, like is the least party. And
Yeah. So
nobody wants the Labor Party,
what happens if your Labor Party doesn't win at all, or like it doesn't win the majority?
then they get representation or whatever. Like you always get representation. Like this is yet again for mostly just for like the dominating bloc and who is like the president or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So like the Labor Party will still have like representation associated with the amount of votes that it got.
Okay.
However, when it comes to like the presidential vote or whatever, what dictates who's going to be the president, if there was a Labor Party president or a CDU party president or whatever, all my votes go to the CDU president, and they don't need to like coalition with the other parties. I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like like the problem that I have most fundamentally is that like there are these preset, or not preset, but the party gets to dictate who they want to work with.
Yeah, but I just don't understand. Like, why are you so afraid of that possibility that Labor works with Republican? I mean, when that just doesn't
No,
happen.
I'm worried with the CDU voting for Republican, and that my vote on the as a like ranked choice voting that also has this coalition building as a factor is going to end up.
Because I mean, like, let's say you hate the Republican Party, okay? Let's say you hate them, but they still, but they got, like, we'll say 30%, right? Like they got 30, and you got 20, 25, right? Oh wait, that wouldn't be possible.
How do we add? There's too many numbers.
I know. Oh fuck! I hate the pencil. Where's the paintbrush? Okay, we'll say this is 20 and 30. We'll just keep a nice split. Maybe nobody voted green. Oh wait, no, it has to be 51, right? Perfect.
But it has to add up to 100%. Remember?
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay. Fuck. Okay.
There's too many numbers. I'm so tired.
30, 60, 70, 80, and then we'll put libertarian.
The libs.
Okay. That's a 30, 30, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Okay. Oh, that one was tripping me out. I thought that was like I was like 10. Okay. Okay, Gavin. So this is what you have to deal with, okay? Your party has 20. Let's say your enemies are these Republicans over here. Okay? These are the bad guys. Okay?
Bad guys.
And you don't want your party partying up with these guys. Okay?
I'm not saying I don't want the Labor Party to do it. I'm saying that I don't want my second choice, i.e. the Green Party, to do it so that they can build a coalition. I'm saying that my vote goes to Labor. Okay, but Labor doesn't get the fucking shit. It's the loser party, okay? And then my vote goes to the CDU. And then the CDU, to get a majority, says, oh, I want to work with the Republicans. But it doesn't have to do that if we do it. Okay, sorry. I guess I'm confusing two types of systems.
You're
conflating
confusing
the possibility of two systems.
Yeah, you are, buddy. Can I use the bathroom really quick while you get this crazy idea together? If he writes any way his ideas are, these papers must be terrible.
That's what I heard.
Did you
Okay.
did you figure out this nonsense?
So basically, all I was saying, I think, was that I prefer first past the post voting to coalition building.
I thought we just argued. I thought we went all this time discussing that we don't like first past the post.
Sorry, I'm at first. I meant sorry. I prefer ranked choice voting to coalition building
Oh, okay. Got it. Okay.
because I would prefer that. the
Now we're
Labour
getting
Party-
somewhere.
I would prefer that the Labour Party gets no representation than to have to gamble my fucking vote on the like the CDU or the Democratic Party to work with the right people. So I'd rather just like I know what the Democratic Party fucking platform is.
Okay. I know.
And-
I think I know what you're saying now. I'm
I
gonna.
put them as my number 2, and I don't have to fucking hope that they work with the fucking Republicans or whatever else. And
Yes.
just say, okay, let them do what they're
You're
gonna do.
saying this, Cameron. Look at my screen. The screen. Okay. You want labor. Okay. Labor, Green, and let's say Anarchy Party. Okay. Okay. And this was your number 1. This was your 2, the Anarchy Party, and 3 was your other vote. Okay. So you and you know, all you're saying, right? Rank 1, rank 2, rank 3. All you're saying is that if Labor Party, let's say, we'll make this super easy. Let's just say these 3 parties dominated, okay? Hypothetically. Okay? So this was 40. This was 5. And this was 6. Oh, wait. We're still going to have the problem. We're going to assume that, or actually, we'll say that this was 42, 80, 90, 100. Okay? Let's just make it super simple. Okay. 40. Oh, what?
Okay, yeah, whatever.
Okay. 80, 90, 100. Now that we, yeah, right?
Okay, sure.
Okay. Okay. So, Labor wins 40%. Anarchy wins 80. And Green wins 20. Okay. Who wins?
Well, it depends on how the Green Party is split.
What do you mean?
So okay, here's under the 2 different systems. Under ranked choice voting, what determines which party wins is whichever voting block, like whatever Green Party voters want, goes. So the Green Party voters, they put.
Oh, so you're saying, yeah. So these people have to either vote for Labor or for the Anarchy Party.
As their second choices, yes.
In your scenario. So in your hypothetical scenario, they would have to make up for the difference in majority.
Yes. As opposed to in the coalition building section, what determines who wins here is the Labour Party. If I wanted them to side with the Green Party, like that's not up to me. That's up to the Labour Party to say, okay, we're actually going to side with the Anarchy Party, despite to get that majority, rather than work with the Green Party. And so it's now up to the party to determine who they're going to work with, rather than my second vote getting able to decide, okay, I want the Labour Party's platform without them having any concessions on
this depends on who the Green Party had as their number 2 spot.
So yeah, what the voters of the Green Party want. So
And what if the
say
voters
that,
of the Green Party wanted the Fascist Party?
Oh, that's fucking fuck. But that's at the very least that's leaving up to a Democratic vote, and that my vote is not going to go be contributing to that shit. It's going to be the Green Party voters. That 15% of them want Labor. Okay, 5% want Anarchy. Okay, well you're going to end up getting Labor as the winner. That's it. Labor wins. Or
All of it.
15% goes Anarchy and 5% Green.
Oh,
goes
okay,
Labor.
okay. So Green Party gets no representation of itself. It just becomes
Green Party
Labor.
gets no representation. Yes, it just becomes Labor or Anarchy, and then the Labor.
So
wins,
this gets crossed out, and this split has to make up the 51 either here or here.
Yes.
And it's quite possible that you lose everything by virtue of Green giving everything to them.
Yes.
And you would rather have that.
I think I would rather have that than to always have to do a piecemeal in a hoping that a party chooses, the Democratic Party chooses the right people to.
But here's the issue, Cameron. On one hand, right? Okay, the Fascist Party, maybe a coalition is formed with them, but they only have a couple seats. In this scenario, it's quite possible that the Anarchy Party can win all the seats. You
Okay,
you
well,
create the
yeah, I think this is
opportunity
something-
for like a worse evil to occur.
Okay, I agree. I think that I guess it depends for me on like what kind of election this is. If this is like just pure representation, okay, let's just let the fucking there's 40% of the seats are the Labor Party, 20% are the Green Party, and 40% is the Anarchy Party. Okay, sure,
You're
whatever.
saying
That's
let
just
the
how it needs to
coalitions
go.
form with other coalitions for like seats of like the House or Senate or something like that.
Yeah, the House and Senate, there should be multiple parties, and it shouldn't have like a first past the post rating system. That should just be fine. But when it comes to like actually having an executive branch, I think that that's where I prefer that the party is built on just like my vote for it.
Okay, so what you are saying is that the presidential party, let's say, should not include his party with him or her. Like, so if the president wins, that doesn't mean his party wins as well in the other houses of the government.
Yeah, not necessarily. Yeah.
So you could have a fascist dictator as president, but your house and your legislative body is labor.
That's just how it is here.
What Cameron's saying is he loves the United States.
USA.
Okay. Yeah. So you like the U.S.
Oh yeah, but the U.S. uses first past the post bullshit. That's the problem.
The only difference is you just want ranked choice, but okay, that's fine.
So I want ranked choice voting for like presidency, for example.
But the same people who vote for the president would likely also vote for his party, I'd imagine.
Well, the thing is, with the party representation, it doesn't matter. There's just a billion jillion parties, and that's a,
But Cameron, in order for the president to win his election, he kind of requires on his party to provide the means to advertise himself, what he stands for. He needs his party to represent him and give him a platform to be known to the masses.
of course, yeah, I know. I'm not saying that they shouldn't have their parties. What I'm saying is that their party allegiances shouldn't determine like the representation that they get. You know, in the same way that we're currently oriented. Like, you know, you can have a House and Senate that's ran by the Democrats, and the executive branch ran by the Republicans, for example. But all I was saying is like for the Israeli example with the threshold meeting, like if a party doesn't reach the threshold for existence, okay, that's when it has to like definitely be divided into different representation blocks or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But the question is like, what's the threshold? And those are the questions that come up. But like, that's the cool thing about representation in parties, is that like, if there were genuinely multiple parties and that you were doing first past the post voting for, or like ranked choice voting for that shit, then yeah, there would be an actual possibility of genuine distinct representation in Congress. And then when it comes to the presidency, then okay, that's just going to be determined by that ranked choice voting shit, you know?
Mm-hmm.
What you eating, bud?
Eggs and ham with some refried beans. Okay.
All this is to say, big ranked choice voting fan. Big ranked choice voting fan.
But even that video, like I still said, it has a lot of problems.
Yeah, of course. It does.
And he still said that gerrymandering and two parties end up becoming the problem again.
Yeah. So that's the problem with parties as a party.
So like it still doesn't solve the biggest issue we have, which is a two-party state.
The issue that we really have is... Well, part of the issue that we have is the two-party state, but also it's the reason that we have such a two-party state that has such a grandstand on the nation is that like
Because people have been radical.
Is the spoiler effect.
Which is what?
Which is what
Which
it gets
means
rid of.
what?
The spoiler effect is that thing that whereby people just won't choose to vote for Bernie Sanders because
They think the vote's wasted.
yeah, it's a wasted vote. So and that to me is the main issue I think, or one of the main issues I have besides fucking money and politics and shit.
Okay.
Yeah, again, I don't know. I don't know what other system would be better than that necessarily.
Probably like a
dictatorship.
probably like a godly ordained right of kingship.
Yep.
Maybe like a royal family. There's just, they're just better than everybody, and
Yeah, they just have the right bloodline and
it's
are
God's
ordained by
God's
God.
plan.
God's plan.
So we should allow God's plan to kind of unfold how the political landscape plays out.
That's exactly what Confucianism taught.
Really?
I mean, kind of.
What that the way things happen are preordained?
Well, it's not that it's preordained, but yeah, there's like the kingdom of, or like not the kingdom of heaven, those in those exact terms or whatever. But like,
But the emperor is also chosen by God in a sense.
yeah, the emperor is chosen by God, and then because the emperor is chosen by God, then the emperor chooses these people beneath him, and then the people beneath him are chosen.
Right.
Because of that, it's a perfectly ordered system,
And there's no
and
need.
there's no problems with it at all,
No, there's no need to fret.
because God chose it.
You just pray.
God's plan.
You just pray for your leaders
Mm,
and hope God guides them into the right course of action.
we should be doing that all the time.
Maybe there's not enough spiritual battle going on. Maybe that's the issue. Is there's no spiritual war being fought, so our leaders are being corrupted because their spirits are corrupted. Yeah, that's it.
That's the whole problem. I think we solved it, Chad.
Who would have thought in the second stream we would already have such truth?
Truisms.
It's
The truest of
The
truisms.
truest of truisms.
Verily, verily.
Verily, verily, I say unto thee, truly, truly, I tell you, Brandon.
Truly, truly. I drink too.
And here they are.
Well, here they are. Invalid votes.
Does it?
See, like that's the thing, is,
But
like,
29,000 is not really that much.
I mean, I guess.
29,000. Okay, 30,000 out of 4.8 million. I mean, that's.
For some, brother.
I mean,
That
that
can make all the difference.
I
Depends where because
I mean-
especially because the way that the seats are apportioned is determined by like whether they meet that threshold or not.
well, no, I mean, because look, all the numbers for wasted votes are really small. I mean, like, it really only happens in those like.
Actually, okay, wait. When it comes to invalid votes, what do I mean? Like
Yeah,
invalid
invalid means like those other parties, like when they were talking about the blocks and how those bottom two parties didn't pass the threshold, so their votes just didn't count at all. They're invalidated, but they're like really small parties that are in the block. They're like super small parties that compromise this block that they're in. And so yeah, it's like a small number, like 29,000. Now, obviously, that's not just for one party, but
It's not obvious online, Brandon.
oh, that guy who platform. No, I'm just kidding. I mean,
Terrorist sympathizer.
hey, one thing is clear though: Israeli voter turnout is very impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, look at these numbers. 70% of voter turnout is pretty impressive.
Australia has a 99% voter turnout.
Does it really?
Well, I mean, because they kind of have like, I think you have to vote.
Oh, it's like you have no choice.
Yeah. I mean, what they should do is they should give people money to fucking vote. Or well, actually, what they need to do is make fucking voting day a holiday first and foremost. Which I imagine that might be part of the reason why.
It is so high.
I don't know if that's the case in Israel, but I know a lot of other places have higher turnouts because they don't like restrict voting to people who can take the day off from work.
We should just get rid of working so people can just vote all the time.
That's right, Brandon. That's right. That's what people have to do.
Just get rid of work and we can vote whenever we want.
Yeah, your life should be dedicated
To
voting.
voting. Voting is the greatest good.
Honestly, as a workplace Democratic advocate, I kind of do think that. But no, they should also.
You won't need to be an advocate of a workplace if there is no workplace.
That's so true. Get rid of workplace democracy. Just have democracy. No working. Everyone just does what they need to do. They vote.
Everyone just does what they want.
That's it. Wait, chat. Is that it? Was that what we were supposed to do?
Wait, just do as you please. You don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
You don't even have
You should
to
just
breathe if you don't want to.
You should only do the things that you assent to for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, look at all the tabs we've gone through. This is all you have to do to gain information about things.
Money.
And since we're unemployed, we get to vote coherently.
If you have a job, you can't vote.
You can't vote because you're too distracted. Wait, where even was the ground news? Oh yeah, I forgot I went on a World War II tangent. Oh, they said, by the way, they just said I think they were going to release the Kennedy papers.
Oh, Chief Justice Roberts rejects Trump's call for impeaching judge who ruled against his deportation plans. That's cool.
So Trump being held accountable?
By Justice Roberts?
Who he appointed, no?
No. No. I don't think so.
Who?
Roberts was before Trump. Right? Yeah, there's Kavanaugh.
It could have been Bush.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, probably.
It was Bush.
Yeah.
Wow.
W.
Wow, would you look at that? See, Cameron, just because they're right-leaning doesn't mean they're all the same kind of right-leaning.
Oh, yeah. They're not going to go all the way with the things. They are just giving him presidential immunity to commit whatever crimes he wants. But, I mean, yeah, okay. At least I have some lines to draw. You know what I mean? Amy Coney Barrett, for example, with the EPA was cool, too. But it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah. Taps AI avatars to make the judicial system more publicly accessible.
Yeah.
Melinda Gates reacts to Bill Gates calling... Okay.
Aw.
Apple loses German antitrust appeal.
Yippee!
Or only the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't where we started, right?
No, this is not where we started, but
we're not. We're certainly not surprised that he's saying this.
Yeah, of course not. Now we know the truth.
Now we know the truth of the matter. Israel will press ahead until it realizes all of its war goals, destroying Hamas and freeing the hostages. Yeah,
That's
but
real.
Yeah. Only the beginning.
Ing the beginning.
Bing chilling. Impeaching judge who questioned the deportation of Venezuelans. Can the president impeach a judge?
I
don't even think that's something.
I don't think he has that power, but he was just gonna say like, "Oh, you guys should do it. You, the legislative branch."
Oh, I was gonna say. I was like, I don't think he can do that.
He's using his bully pulpit abilities.
The bully puppet.
Bully puppet.
What happened to that woman doctor? Maybe there's no stories on her.
There's just one right there, right?
Oh yeah, here it is. Oh, it's the same one. Photos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Baseball.
And now we get to our sports segment of the stream. It's going on with the economy. Coal-fired power to Canada, China.
Why do we not do nuclear power? I truly do not understand.
I don't know either.
Especially with people now, like I heard that China had like one of the longest sustained fission reactions.
No, I mean the
And,
technology is safe now. It's not like we don't have the means to safely have it. I mean, I think people lobbied against it. Yeah, because I mean, if we had nuclear energy, we wouldn't need a electric power grid necessarily. Arguably, we wouldn't really need any other power source. Like, we wouldn't really need electricity, or well, maybe for cars we'd still. Well, no, we don't need electric cars. I mean,
no, but I mean, electric cars are still going to be powered by nuclear energy.
Yeah, because the grid that they I don't know.
That's the funny thing about the electric car thing is because like, oh, you're burning less oil or whatever, but you're still burning the oil to get the electricity most of the time anyway.
Oh well, yeah. This is what people were arguing against electric cars like 10 years ago. The same arguments they made was just that it's not actually better. It's not really actually better with the repercussions that it has not only to source the lithium, but also the effects that it takes to actually power the electric battery and charge it. And also, I think we're having a grid problem, or we're going to face an electric grid problem where there won't be enough power on the grid to power everything with this total shift to electric, but we'll see. Why don't we have nuclear power in America? Well, the U.S. has nuclear power plants. The expansion of nuclear energy has faced high construction costs, safety concerns, and the difficulty of managing radioactive waste. Oh, well, that is true. The waste you have to, like, bury or some shit. Leading to a focus on other energy sources like renewables, with cost potentially reaching billions. Yeah, how about the billions it costs to run the other shit? The regulatory process for building and operating it can be lengthy and complex. Okay.
Because the government doesn't want to invest in it.
They don't want to do it. That's simple as that. There are risks of accidents like Chernobyl and Fukushima. Yeah, I mean, we know that's not going to happen, though. Radioactive waste. That is, in fact, an actual problem. I think out of all these, that's like the only legitimate problem. Perception of risk. Yeah, the perception of it. The energy market is shifting towards renewable sources, and the economics of nuclear power are becoming less favorable. Yeah, I wonder why.
Thanks, Joe Biden.
Yeah. They're telling me it's cost, but like with just our military budget alone, they're telling me we can't invest. Like, I refuse to believe that.
Also, look, this is from 2016. What's a more recent article?
We don't talk about this. Nobody talks about this anymore. No. It's once electric won the conversation and renewables became the topic of discourse. Oh shit! Hold on. Let me get my dog. Okay. Shut up, CB. Yeah, like there's one from CNET 2021.
Well, the NPR one is.
Oh, yeah. It's part of the green energy future. What? Solar, wind, and other might not be enough. Yeah, that's what I was saying about the power grid. Nuclear power is emerging as an answer to fill the emerging. We've been talking about a state's transition away from coal and gas. Okay, cool. Renewed interest. Oh. Nuclear comes as developing smaller to supplement the power grid. Nuclear power comes with lots of problems, especially radioactive waste that can remain dangerous for thousands of years. The risk can be minimized, and the energy source will be essential to stabilize power supplies. Yeah, supporters say the risk can be minimized. Okay, yeah. Nuclear is not green. Okay.
Nuclear is green. Fuck.
I don't see a path that gets us there without preserving the existing fleet and building new nuclear. That's after having maximized the amount of solar we can build in the system. Okay. TVA is a federally owned utility that provides electricity to 7 states, the third largest. It's adding 10,000 megawatts of solar capacity. Okay. 1 million homes annually, but also operates 3 nuclear plants and plans to test a small rate. Oh, okay. By 2050. Okay. The amount of greenhouse gases produced is no more than the amount removed from the atmosphere. Strong majority, 2/3, say nuclear. Will help take the place of fossil fuels. The first expansion of nuclear construction in the U.S. Oh, cool. Wait, this might actually happen. Well, this is just in District of Columbia, though.
This is for the Biden administration. But obviously,
wasn't that like the big thing about Republicans before that they got made fun of? Was like they all wanted nuclear That's like what they used to make fun of Republicans for in like
No.
yeah, like in Family Guy they made fun of, or in American Dad.
Did they?
Yeah, the whole thing was that Republicans wanted nuclear. I mean, that was the joke of the show.
I thought that the nuclear thing has always been like a left sort of thing because the right is sort of bought out by like the gas thing.
Well, let's find out. It's pro-nuclear now, okay. But yeah, obviously Biden did want to, like you said. Democrats are pulling the plug on the carbon. Okay, Americans. Okay. How did it become politically polarized? That's Reddit. American Nuclear Society. This should be unbiased, relatively speaking. Okay. In 1980, Jimmy Carter and Republican candidate Ronald Reagan were on the campaign trail. The party hashed out policy platforms that took stock of nuclear energy. Okay. Both parties then and now wanted safe, reliable energy and a solution to the nuclear waste. Oh, so they both wanted it. But had little other common ground. Okay, with the Democrats pushing for renewable energy and the Republicans for coal and nuclear. Which is what I was saying. Republicans have wanted nuclear. The Democrats have always pushed the whole wind, solar, electric shtick for like the past 30 years. Well, I guess it's more than that now. It's like 40, 50. But what has changed? Now, both Democrats and Republicans agree with the statement that they support the accelerated use of nuclear energy through technologies that are efficient and safe. In 1980, that was part of a plank in the Republican Party platform. We believe that the licensing process can and should be streamlined through consolidation of the present process and the use of standard reactor designs. They're not poles apart because each in varying degrees supports the continuation. Nonetheless, the two planks are exceptionally diverse since the Democrats give only a lukewarm endorsement to nuclear energy, while the Republicans are bullish. Yeah, that's what I was saying, Cameron. The Republicans have always wanted nuclear energy, and people used to make fun of Republicans for wanting nuclear. The Democratic statement came about only after a long and acrimonious battle. The anti-nuclear lobby, which sought a full nuclear moratorium. The Carterites, who had easily won their points elsewhere, came away with what domestic affairs called the best language we could get. The best language promises to retire nuclear plants. Yeah, this is the Carter administration. As alternative sources of electricity are phased in. I think a lot of people thought like a shift to pure electric would be the future, and it was in the best interest. I just don't think they understood the technology or the implications of the technology well enough to understand, nor could they have foreseen how much more energy would be required with all the new advancements. And like, there's so much more energy being used now in people's households.
Computers.
Yeah, like just tons of computers and TVs and like smartphones and being charged and all these appliances in the home. There's like 5 million things plugged in and everything. The Republican plank writers were more enthusiastic about the future, saying the party supports accelerated use of nuclear energy through technologies that have been proven. Okay. The Democratic plank flight drew the most attention because it represented all the drama associated with the nuclear controversy. Became embroiled in a fight. The first draft from the Carter delegate in Minnesota support the Carter delegates in the committee was the Kennedyites for a moratorium of all nuclear plants and an orderly phase out of all existing plants. To get out a compromise to support President Carter's position that nuclear energy must in the near term generate a fair share of the nation's electricity. The ensuing fight over nuclear energy brought to fore a citizens' lobby which calls for its efforts campaign for safe energy. The group is stringently anti-nuclear. Anti-nuclear forces. The Washington Post conceded the victory to the anti-nuclear forces. The victory appeared to symbolize the growing strength of the anti-nuclear movement, one of only a few political causes that had attracted broad public support. Conversely, the Republican energy platform drew very little attention from the national media, which noted only that nuclear energy was strongly endorsed. Unlike Democrats, Republicans appeared to have drafted their energy plan with little or no internal controversy. The statement is highly critical of Carter achievements in energy using these words. Never before in the history of the American government has so much been done at such great expense with such dismal results. Democratic drafted. We must make conservation and renewable energy our nation's energy priorities for the future. Through the federal government commitment to renewable energy source and efficiency, and as alternative fuels become available, we will retire nuclear plants. So yeah, this was the DNC saying this in 1980. All right, whatever. Anyways, where are we today? Well, 1/3 of the states and the District of Columbia saying that they have no plans to incorporate nuclear power in their energy goals, instead leaning on renewables.
Which, I mean, I think, yeah, compared to if we had to make a tier list, I imagine that if we really invested in renewable resources, then like nuclear would become obsolete or whatever. But I think having because electricity is not like, when you say electric, it's not like it's hydroelectric or wind electric. It's like electric energy as in like gas.
Well, it's partly wind electric and water electric, like water based.
Yeah, but I think that the main issue I had is that we were using too much oil and coal and other non-renewable resources. And so if I had to make a tier list personally, it'd be things like windmills and like hydroelectric energy, and then nuclear, and then fossil fuels.
I wonder, like,
because the problem of like getting rid of the nuclear shit is still kind of, yeah, but how effective are these shits? Because I wonder to what extent the Green New Deal was supposed to like have nuclear provisions as well.
many members of the Green Party have attacked the plan due to its cutting of multiple parts of the plan, such as the elimination of nuclear power and jobs guarantee. So members of the Green Party did want
no nuclear.
Or no, I mean the members of the Green Party did not want it.
Yeah. So why is nuclear power not a viable solution for the Green New Deal?
I don't know.
Why does it say?
Look at this.
Friends
Friends of the Earth. Learn about why the Green New Deal should not include nuclear power. You want to read it?
Let's see.
They're friends of the they're friends of the Earth.
No, they have to be friends of the Earth.
Yeah, they really love the Earth. They're friends with it. Okay. Let's see why. Okay. Why? Yes, we must recognize why it's bad. It's a dishonest distraction. Okay, we're calling it a distraction. Okay.
Why is that?
To reduce global greenhouse gas emissions from 40 to 60% and down to zero by 50, we need cost-effective, proven energy generation technology that can be scaled up to meet these benchmarks. Nuclear power does not and will not. Okay, so they're saying that it's not cost-effective.
Why doesn't?
It's not proven because we've never allowed it to work, even though it is proven. But like Japan has nuclear reactors too. But anyways, like it literally, there are literally other countries that have it. But anyways, and yeah, so it's saying that we can't scale it.
For 60 years, despite massive subsidies, the nuclear industry is dying of its own accord. Why? Because it's too expensive, too dangerous, and too dirty, and takes too long to deploy.
Yeah, nuclear power simply cannot compete against safer, cleaner, and cheaper renewable energy. Can I get a stat check on that? A fact check on that?
Conservative estimates suggest.
Like, I know it's expensive, but nuclear subsidies have been buried in hundreds of spending bills. Its costs externalized to the environment and future generations, and its bills literally unpaid, defaulted on or passed to taxpayers. Because you never let them get built. Conservative estimates suggest that the nuclear industry has received more than $85 billion in subsidies. A centrist
facts on like how much this shit costs and how much it
yeah, I need to see like fact claims on, like, they're just throwing out all these statistics and stuff, but
okay, get out of here.
Yeah, this is a Mickey Mouse article. This is Popular Mechanics. That's a good one. It's too risky and complicated. Okay, bro. Okay. Yeah, like what? Bullet trains are too risky and complicated too?
Are they?
No, but why don't we have them? Like, they'll probably say some stupid shit like, well, it's too hard to build bullet trains and you could just have electric cars.
Is that what people say? I think that a lot of like people in the green movement to support electric bullet trains over cars. Why don't we have bullet trains?
The United States lacks a widespread high-speed rail network like those due to the combination of factoring historical priorities favoring cars, the high cost of building new infrastructure, and challenges with land rights and political support. Okay, why they won't work right now? Let's read from Scientific American, because they know better probably than Friends of the Earth. Amtrak will soon get 28 high-speed rails, but they won't operate at high speeds because Amtrak tracks are outdated.
True.
Okay. They will start. Okay, high-speed bullet trains will start 2024. Boston, New York, and Washington. Have you seen any of those, Cameron?
Hey. No.
I've never been over there, so I don't know if that's true. With the promise of cutting transportation emissions by. Okay, cool. Major obstacle. 450-mile route does not have modern tracks. Okay, well, why don't we invest in modern tracks? A federally owned passenger company will operate the new trains on tracks that built more than a century ago. Oh my god. For much slower commuter and freight service, bullet cars will be forced to run slower than 110 miles. Okay. They operate high-speed trains, 200 miles per hour. 200 miles per hour? We can't even get it slower than 110. What the fuck? This is fucking America. We can't even... Okay. The old rail infrastructure highlights difficulties the Biden administration faces in bringing high-speed passenger rail services. President Biden last year vowed to help develop high-speed rails as one of 37 game-changing R&D opportunities that could help the U.S. achieve net zero carbon emissions. So what happened?
It would create jobs.
Well, of course it would create jobs. And it would be good for the environment. And
So
people
there's
would
zero
get
reasons.
places faster, reduce commute times, overall well-being of livelihoods would be improved. I don't see why we don't do it.
The Republican Party.
4 obstacles.
New Deal.
4 obstacles, it says, okay? Okay, 4.
Count them.
Count them. U.S. high-speed rail system that can reduce driving and flying. Yeah, let's not even talk about how bad flying is. Fucking terrible. The 2 most polluting common transportation modes. The problems are intertwined with one issue complicating the next. Here we go, Cameron, the 4. Okay.
Tracks again. It's the tracks
It's the
again.
tracks.
Again.
Yes, we know they weren't built. Okay. Yes. So, okay. Bottlenecks, tunnels, bridges. Yeah, okay. Basically what it's saying is the country doesn't want to invest in its own infrastructure because it wants to go fund wars overseas. Cool.
$1 billion for
Yeah.
billions of dollars. Oh no, we
Billions
can't spend $1
of...
trillion.
Didn't we
on that
send
shit.
like a fucking several billion dollars the other day to Ukraine? I mean, wouldn't it matter? Buy America. The policy requires fully funded infrastructure, including rail cars and tracks, to be manufactured domestically. The rules could... Okay, why? Why do they have to be manufactured domestically? Why not get them from Japan or some other country who has it already built, like has the parts made and infrastructure? Like, that's the whole point of economics. Anyways, the rules could slow down high-speed rail projects and increase costs because U.S.-made parts are generally costlier and manufacturing capacity is limited. Yeah, they'll buy them. Yeah, no shit. Okay. Domestic rail industry. The U.S. lacks a passenger rail industry that can produce all the parts. Yeah, so we can't. We're forcing ourselves to buy American, and because, but we can't buy American because there is no industry that can supply American. Our costs are, yes, we know that. The government has not funded the railway. Okay, we figured out the answer. Simple.
Money.
The government just hasn't funded it.
Congress and the White House have not created an annual program that would help establish domestic rail industry to produce.
They just don't want to do it. That's all it's saying. They just don't want to do it. That's it. Like, literally, like, they're like, what about all these benefits? No, we don't want to. Okay. Decades of annual appropriations that built the highway system. Yeah, no shit, but we needed the highways at that time. We need the fucking railways. Until we are serious about high-speed rails, the way that we were serious about highways, we're not gonna. Yeah, I agree with Thompson. Until we get fucking serious about it, shit ain't gonna happen. And then, like Cameron was saying, federal funding program could encourage the U.S. to invest in research, engineering, plants that could produce rails, and that could satisfy Buy American requirements. Okay, it cost $129 billion to build the highway system. Okay, or $290 billion back then.
That's nothing.
It took 35 years to complete. The 1.2 trillion infrastructure bill and act. Look at that, 1.2 trillion.
It didn't actually get passed.
Yeah, for the record, viewers, 1.2 trillion is a lot more than 290 billion. I want to make that clear. There's a big difference between trillion and billion, and I don't think most people recognize how big a trillion really is. All right. The 1.2 trillion, I didn't even know we had a $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill in 20.
Look at the infrastructure bill.
We should. I didn't even know we had this. Has 102 billion for rail, but none of the money is set aside for a rail. So what good is a bill which doesn't care about my rail?
It's just rail, but not high speed rail.
Yeah, it's bullshit rail.
Bullet rail. Bullshit.
Which it's not it's not
Look
modern rail.
Look up where the
Yeah.
apportionments went.
It reduces emissions. Bullet trains take passengers. Yes. Okay. What do you want me to look up?
The
Less carbon.
infrastructure bill.
Okay. I just want to see something really quick, and then we'll look at the infrastructure bill. Yeah, in order for it to be considered high speed, it has to travel faster than 155. All right, whatever. We know why, so. And then obviously, yeah, this fucking fixation on Buy America for that industry is holding us back. Also, all right. So you want to look at the infrastructure bill?
Yeah. Let's just see where it goes.
Oops. Okay, sign into Biden. Okay, it authorizes. Okay, infrastructure. 550 billion figure going towards new whatever that means. Bipartisan law strengthens safety authority. Let's fulfill its mission, protecting people and safe transportation of energy. Except apparently not with trains. Okay. Well, this doesn't look like. Do I have to click this?
This doesn't. I don't know, man. Fuck this shit.
New funding for
Roads and bridges and
passenger, but not the right one. Highway, public transport, but not the one we want. Broadband, whatever that means, like internet. Ports and waterways, airports, water. I mean, obviously these are good too. I'm not saying like it's obviously bad to have, but airports. Like, okay, if we're trying to get away from airports, why are we building more? Anyways. Water infrastructure, power and grid reliability, resiliency, okay. Clean school buses, cool. Electrical vehicle charging. Superfund sites reclaiming abandoned mines. I've been in some abandoned mines. They're pretty cool. Western water infrastructure.
My
fellow Americans. The bridge investment program.
That's what we need. Our bridges are London bridges falling
down, falling down, falling down. Additional routes to the Sector 10-6 corridors, high priority corridors. The highway system. Improve the highway system. Yeah, you can't have electric cars if you don't improve the highway system. It just sounds like they don't want to fucking do it.
Yeah.
Is
Build
this
Back Better is responsible for 94% of the emissions cut in Biden's legislative agenda. 6% comes primarily from bipartisan infrastructure bill. Okay. Anyway, bro, I'm tired. I'm gonna take a nap.
Yeah, GG's.
Is the GG go next angle for me?
I think we learned a lot today about the conflict in the Middle East. We learned about some broader implications, some other hands that are involved in preventing peace from occurring in the region. We also learned about our government's inability to help its own people and invest in
party systems.
And we talked about party systems and ranked choice voting, and we talked about coalition building, and we talked about blocks, and we talked about thresholds. All these things were a very informative stream, I would say. Yippee! And with that, that concludes stream number 2. Better be on video when I look after this, or I'm going to be upset. Alrighty, see you later.